Over 20 years, Nigeria the battle the matter we get to do with killing of Nigerians for inside Nigerian soil. So plenty people will be Nigerians don't get for what they call IDP camp. Will be makeshift camp we get to do where they just the patch sake of say they're not go back to their homes again. So Nigerians they ask say this killing where they happen for inside Nigeria. Not true genocide. Not genocide against Christians or genocide against the indigenous people of Nigeria for different communities. I've been a jihad, as some people they call it jihad. Or monkey finger don't enter inside soup like this because some people they talk say he get powers we do obodo ibo if you don't put hand for waiting get to do with that matter for Nigeria. When make it be like say this matter they go up instead of as time they go maybe the thing they come down it continues to go up. I mean Western influence they inside. US influence they inside. I've been a jihad. I've been a true genocide. Waiting be the main cocoa of the matter. Waiting be the aim of all these things really happen. Now, part of waiting we want unravel this night for Inside Updates with Precious. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to Updates with Precious. It always sweet my belly to bring on an updates of things really happen for inside the country. Sincere apologies, say we'll not start exactly when we're supposed to start. One of our guests being they held down somewhere, but I did glad to see he don't finally join us and he don't meet up with us sharp. So we could just get straight to the point and make I quickly introduce my guest them for Inside the House. And one of my guests this evening, investigative journalist, and we be saying in the Oga Pata for most investigative platforms and more news platforms and for inside West Africa generally. David Hundeyin, they join us virtually. You could see him now. David, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And then another of our guests now, person will be studying law for inside Nigeria, barrister, and in the US, in the indigene of Yelwata for Benue State, one of the communities where this kind of massacre don't happen. And himself, they follow the push, say, lie, may they stop to kill my people. We no go agree again. In then, Barrister Frank. Barrister Frank, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. And nice to connect with you once again.
Thank you so much. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this crisis we get to do with the killing of Nigerians is, if for anything, I feel say Nigeria don't be at a place where you be anybody at any time right now. Anybody, anything will happen to anybody right now. It can't be like insecurity, no get branch, no get anywhere where they again. Last week I was speaking to a former colleague of mine. He used to work at Radio 93.7 Port Harcourt while I was in Port Harcourt. I interviewed him here. He's from Plateau State Church. His name is Lokman Dombe, LD, that's what we call him. And he made me understand that. I don't know if we all know a rapper called Terry the Rap Man. And he said that Terry the Rap Man's village in Nasarawa State, he's from Tiv community in Nasarawa State, that village is no longer existing. That is because some people are now living in the community. In fact, they demolished the houses there, they rebuilt it, renamed the community. I think they know get village. And I just imagine, say, this can be anybody, could have been anybody. You know how we hold onto our heritage, our background and all that. So what thing they really happen for Nigeria? Now what thing we won't talk about now? What thing because that former scholar that they talk and those they say for you to know the solution of a problem, you must first of all realize the core root of that problem. Because on the root of the problem will trace you reach how you go fit to solve the problem. So now we won't talk about this matter this evening. So make us start with you, David Hundeyin. What do you think say they happen for Nigeria with all these killings?
What I think is not very important because everybody has an opinion. What is important is what I know and what the evidence says. And to cut a very long story short and to sort of set the tone for this conversation, I'll just say that anyone who isn't familiar with the story of the Democratic Republic of Congo should go read up on it, because essentially what Nigeria is going through now is what the DRC was going through maybe 15, 20 years ago. So Nigeria is just a little further behind in the process of state failure than DR Congo for the same reasons, and it's being organized by the exact same people. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me because I can't. Okay.
Yes, we can. Very well. Crystal clear. We can hear you very well. Go ahead.
So essentially, just like the Democratic Republic of Congo was completely destabilized by certain interests, commercial interests, using many guises for the sole purpose of basically displacing the natives and indigenes all over the country and making this country essentially available to become one big open pit mine, which is what it is today. The same thing is being done. in Nigeria. There's a pattern that follows these large-scale incidences of violence across Africa. For those who maybe haven't paid much attention to this or who don't have the historical context to this, it's very easy to fall into one of these simple and emotionally satisfying explanations for the violence. I used to be one of those people as well. I used to hold this very mistaken opinion that this was primarily some sort of religious or even ethnic or ethno-religious conflict, and that's what was happening. And that essentially it was targeted violence against Christian communities and against some specific ethnicities, and that's what was happening. Some people wanted to come in and take over, and some people wanted to, carry out population replacement and whatnot. As I guess I've been fortunate enough to gain a wider angle on the world and do some traveling and actually learn more about how the world operates, that position has completely shifted because I've realized that what is happening to Nigeria has happened before in many, many, many places across Africa, and it's the same people who are simply staging the exact same thing all over again, using the exact same tactics, just in a different place that we're not used to seeing it. Essentially, the middle belt and the north of Nigeria, for those who don't know, for the longest time, there is a misconception that the natural resource wealth of Nigeria is concentrated in the Niger Delta region or in the southern part of Nigeria. That is completely untrue. The bulk of Nigeria's natural resource endowment is actually concentrated in the north and the middle belt, specifically the middle belt. For those who don't know, there's a very large, for example, crude oil endowment in Nigeria's middle belt. That might be news to you because you might think that crude oil is synonymous with the Niger Delta. But there's somewhere called the Benue Trough in Nigeria, which has a huge crude oil endowment and which some people are interested in sinking their teeth into. That's for crude oil, which, by the way, is like one of the least important things now compared to some of the other things that we're going to discuss. Now, you might have heard of something called rare earth minerals. These are the rare metals. Well, they're not that rare, but we call them rare. These are the metals that basically power every sort of futuristic technology that you know of. So everything from your mobile phones to electric cars to military drones. Basically, your cobalt, your tantalite, your lithium, all those things which have applications in modern electronics. These things can be found in very, very, very large quantities with surprisingly high purity in the middle belt and in the north of Nigeria. Again, for those who don't know, there's a very large amount of artisanal, what we call artisanal mining going on there, which is a fancy term for illegal mining. And this is not just a thing that people say. I know people who are actively involved in this thing, people who make, millions on a daily basis from illegally mining this stuff. It's a huge business with involvement from every player you can imagine. European, American, Australian, Canadian, Chinese, everybody has a stake in this thing. Nigeria is basically being eaten like this huge cake, and everybody's having a taste except the people of Nigeria themselves. So what is happening is that just like it was done in DR Congo, just like it was done in parts of Mali, just like it was done in parts of Burkina Faso before they formed the AES Confederation, just like it's currently being done in Mozambique, just like it was done in Angola and in many other places across Africa. These areas with very large resource endowments have been identified. Now, the first thing is that the governments of these countries may not even necessarily even be aware of the full extent of the resource endowment of their own countries. Certainly, the Nigerian government, as I'm sure you know, has never commissioned a full geological survey of Nigeria. So officially, we estimate, but we don't actually know for certain just how stacked Nigeria is. We know it's a lot. We don't know how much, but some people do. Some people have this data, and this data is a very closely guarded commercial secret, which you and I don't have access to. And these people, according to their commercial doctrine or their economic doctrine, have decided in their wisdom, that the economic benefits of these things should not go to the people that live in these areas, or should not go to the government that controls these areas, that these things are somehow theirs. So the people who happen to live in these areas, be they from whatever ethnicity, be they from whatever religion, are just these inconvenient organic stumbling blocks on the road to getting these minerals. So anything and everything that can be done to ease the cheap and easy extraction of these minerals is what will be done, including getting these people out of the way. Now, where you then have a problem is where these people have done their geological survey and they've decided that there's a very huge deposit of tantalite or something under this village. This is somebody's land, right? This is somebody's village. This is someone's ancestral land. This is where their family lives. This is where people live, right? But it happens to have some very large concentration of something under its soil that some other people find valuable. So what do? They roll in a bunch of proxies. You might call them herdsmen. You might call them Boko Haram. You might call them AQIM. You might call them JNIM. You might call them ISWAP. There's a multiplicity. You might call them unknown gunmen. You might call them bandits. Nobody knows who exactly these people are anymore. But what will just happen is that a group of very suspiciously well-armed people, sometimes having access to air support, sometimes having drones, having weapons that even the Nigerian military sometimes doesn't have, these people will somehow just materialize in this very, very poor corner of the world where pretty much everybody's a farmer, right? And these people just show up with these really sophisticated weapons and they clear out the area. So clearing out the area doesn't necessarily mean killing everybody there, but it might mean killing just enough people to motivate everybody else in the area to leave. Now, in 2019, I was part of a team that did like some field research. At the time, I didn't understand what I was dealing with. At the time, I was still under this mistaken impression that this was some sort of struggle against Christians or against ethnic minorities in the Middle Belt. So the report that came out of this project, which you can view online, is called Silent Slaughter, Genocide in Nigeria and Implications for the International Community. It was carried out by these two NGOs called the International Committee on Nigeria and the International Project for Peace Building and Social Justice. So I contributed to that project. We traveled around parts of the Middle Belt. I personally went to Kajuru in southern Kaduna. And what we noticed was that these attacks, in addition to obviously being brutal and being violent and being very sort of gratuitous with the type and degree of violence, people chopping off babies' fingers, types of violence that you can barely comprehend. We also noticed that they were very deliberate about destroying anything that could aid the long-term survivability of that place. So, for example, this is an agrarian community. They'd attack the food stores. So the barns where the villagers keep their yams or rice or whatever, the things that allow them to be able to live there long term, right? Where they store their food, they will go and they will specifically attack that place. So they've come in to attack people overnight. One of the first places they go for, obviously they've collected intelligence beforehand, is the food store, and make sure they burn all the food supplies these people have, making sure that you can no longer stay there. You no longer have anything to eat. They burn your farmland, they burn your food stores, they kill members of your family if they can see them. Eventually, what that leads to is that you end up in an IDP camp. And next thing you know, this place that used to be a home, that used to be a village, no longer exists. And the next, if you come back 3-4 years later, you just find out that it's a whole lot of artisanal mining going on. This has been happening. Obviously, at the time, I didn't quite know what I was engaging with. And I also do have to say that the team behind that project that I was a part of did not disclose to me what the ideological purpose of that project was. I thought I was just doing the right thing. I was just a Nigerian journalist trying to document horrible things being done to innocent people who didn't deserve it. But I guess you can also say I didn't do my due diligence to an extent, because I guess if I had done that and I had found out who, for example, this NGO was, the International Committee on Nigeria, that would have given me some pause, because it turns out that this NGO is actually not really an NGO. It's a lobby group which is based in Washington. And it's essentially a vehicle for the US State Department, which is run by a Nigerian guy called Stephen Anada, right? It's a political vehicle which is being run, sorry, give me a second, which is being run by some very powerful people. I didn't understand any of this at the time. I just thought I was doing the right thing. Actually, my work and the work of those who worked on the project with me was used as a tool to put together a very lopsided report. When I say lopsided, I mean the conclusion of that report, which you can find online, the conclusion was that based on the data we collected, which was essentially death certificates and other records establishing who and who died, that there is there's a targeted and specific pattern of killings and violence that specifically targets Christians across the Middle Belt and Northern Nigeria. Now, why I say lopsided is that the methodology for reaching that conclusion in the report was heavily flawed, right? That report does not pass academic standards. And I'm saying that as someone that worked on it. Why I'm saying it doesn't pass academic standards is the primary method for establishing that supposedly there was violence specifically against one religious group was use of death certificates. Now, you and I know that when a Christian dies, there's every possibility that they might, the relatives of that person might put the body in a mortuary. Before you can admit a body to a mortuary in Nigeria, there needs to be a death certificate. So there's a paper trail. When a Muslim dies, the process is completely different. The body has to be buried before sundown. It's much less likely there's going to be any sort of paper trail involved, death certificates, anything like that. So essentially, we were going to communities and gathering data showing that only one set of people was dying. Meanwhile, there's a whole bunch of people dying from an entire spectrum of society. So that's why I said that report was not conceived in good faith.
So basically, you're trying to say that the report you did in the past about Christian genocide was not entirely true, meaning say, not be only Christians that die for Nigeria, both Christians and Muslims that die.
Absolutely. However, you also have to, the context I'm trying to build here is that I didn't understand what I was dealing with. I was a bit naive then. This was 2019. I was just breaking into investigative journalism at the time. I didn't fully understand the political ramifications of what I was doing.
Okay.
So there was a time I did ask the project lead. He was a guy called Dr. Richard Ikebe. I did ask him that.
I would just like make you wrap up your thoughts so that he will answer, then we'll come back to you again. Go ahead.
So I asked him that, so what's the end point here? What's the goal of what they're trying to accomplish with this report? And he said, you can confirm this from him if you ever meet him or speak to him. He said that this report will be presented to the US government and that the goal is to get a special envoy to Nigeria appointed in the manner that was done with Sudan. So if you recall, when a US special envoy to Sudan was appointed, that was when a referendum was then organized and Sudan then broke up into North Sudan and South Sudan. So essentially what he was saying was that the purpose of this report is to create a pretext for the US government to initiate a process for the legal breakup of the Nigerian national entity.
And this person you're talking about is from the North Central. I mean,
no,
in Nigeria.
Dr. Richard is from Delta State.
It's from Delta State, South. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Are you done then?
Yeah, so I'll just quickly close, just a few closing remarks. So it's been very easy to obviously run with a sort of emotionally satisfying narrative that, oh, some people from somewhere are doing this and that, and you know, it's against Christians, against my tribe, it's this, it's that. Nigerians love simple explanations. But Nigerians need to understand that we all live in a much bigger context than the local issues that we have, which is not to say that we don't, there isn't, for example, religious violence in Nigeria. Obviously, these things happen, and nobody's denying these things, and nobody's a stranger to any of these things. But Nigerians need to understand that we do exist in a larger context, and the characters we're dealing with and the interests, the commercial, economic interests we're dealing with are people who have no compunctions with exploiting divisions that exist and taking them to levels we have never seen before, and who have all the capability in the world to do that. So Nigerians need to understand that sometimes, rather than just running with the easiest and most emotionally satisfying explanation to explain what you can see in front of you, no matter how difficult it might be in the heat of the moment, you need to step back and zoom out. Because sometimes it is only by zooming out that you get the bigger picture of what is actually going on, as against just sort of rushing in with your emotions, which can be very easily exploited, which is what is happening right now.
All right, thank you very much. So Nigerians, somebody did ask if this can. It's yes, it's very conversational. You can call in, and I'll let you know the calling number very shortly. But let's hear from our guests first, so we don't use the calls to distort the conversation. So we will call in later on. And if this is your first time of joining us, please ensure that you subscribe, like, and share this post. Make more Nigerians than CM, so that people could be impressed with the things that they happen for inside our country. We will need it like to talk about for terrestrial media, and we to make I get this platform. So Barrister. Frank, I'm sure you've heard all that David has said. Do you want to share your own perspective of the conversation? Because we're dealing with different perspectives here. So would you like to share your own perspective or sort of response to what he said?
All right. Thank you very much. I listened to the narrative of my brother David with rapt attention, as he mentioned so many vestiges of what he feel were happening, which can be condensed into an opinion, and of course he has the right to such opinions, but right now, the reality of what we're facing right now is that he has mentioned his opinion. In law, that may be a secondary evidence. I'm not completely countenancing his opinion. There are vestiges of truth in some areas, of course, because you cannot completely divorce conspiracy theories from this. But as it relates to us, he never really got it right. It's not a matter of emotion. It's a matter of direct evidence. Some of us hold direct evidence. He has what is holding the secondary evidence? Research, check. We were dealing with the people who are killing us directly. They told us why they are killing us. And sometimes when I speak from the United States,
what do you mean by they told us why they are killing you?
Listen, Precious.
Sir?
I was in Nigeria after I came back from school in the UK. I graduated from Northumbria and Newcastle. I came back in 2011, went to the law school. After my law school, I've been in Nigeria constantly. And in Benue State, I was a principal special assistant to the governor of Benue State between 2020 and 2023. I come from a local government that is the center of gravity of these killings in Benue, Guma local government. I come from the particular community that has been the epicenter of this killing in recent times, Yerwata. My own biological dad was the village head of Yerwata. So in essence, I'm a prince of Yerwata, sort of. So you are not, whatever I'm telling you is not a matter of research. It's a matter of direct, concrete evidence. You understand? On more than 3 or 5 occasions, I've come face to face with the killers of our people. On one occasion, in April of 2022, when they attacked Yerwata, and our boys repelled, when they repelled, they scattered into different angles. And later, 2 of them, because Yerwata is on the highway between Lafia and Makodi. So because they saw beams of light on the road, they thought that they were in another town. 2 of them later came up to the roadside, and they were Fulani guys asking, when Agaragune? Agaragu is a town in Nasarawa State, just barely 30 kilometers away from Yerwata, on the same federal highway. So they were asking when Agaragu. I was there directly. I speak Hausa more than I speak Tip and English. So that was when we arrested them. They told us we were able to extract confessions from them. They told us the jihad they are prosecuting, the takeover of the land they are doing. They told us, see, on up to 5 times, we faced these guys face to face, and they were able to tell us a lot of things. And then on about 3 occasions, I was part of the Benue State government delegation that met with the Fulanis in Nasarawa State. At the primary school in Yerwata, on 2 of those 3 occasions, the governors of Benue and Nasarawa were involved. And what they were telling us is far different from they were telling us about the need to really share our land with them and how this will not stop until we do this and that. So I've tried to narrow it to the truth of what is happening. Land for grazing, land for occupation, land for conquest. Now, let's take a chronology of
I
this
am
whole.
tempted to ask you, why would anybody want to deliberately take anybody's land? Why do you think they're doing that?
Okay, of course, it's happening
If
all
that
over the
narrative
world.
is
A
correct.
lot of people fighting for land, getting land, you know. And but let me tell you, let me give you the history of this whole thing. The jihad of 1804 up to 1816, when it started,
Uthman Dan Fodio.
of Uthman Dan Fodio, of course, when it started, there wasn't anything like mineral resources, right? In the center of it, there wasn't anything. It was about expanding the caliphate.
Are you
About
saying that that's the same narrative?
hold on, I'm giving you a
going on?
chronology. I'm giving you a
Okay.
chronology.
All right. Then.
It's about expanding the caliphate. It's about expanding the creed. It's about conquest. They conquered many of these places. I schooled in Kefi. That was where I had my secondary education, Government College Kefi. They captured Kefi and turned it into an emirate. You know, they've hoisted their flags in Kefi, in Nasarawa. You know, the jihad was stopped by us, the Middle Beltans. The Middle Beltans of Plateau, current Plateau State, parts of Nasarawa, Benue, parts of Taraba, parts of Gombe, the southern part of Gombe. That's the Tangale axis, the Biliri axis in Gombe, the Tafawa Balewa axis in Bauchi State. It was stopped by us, the jihad. Now, just like El Rufai will say, he said the Fulani man never forgets. This has been a source of crisis. It was like a vendetta, sort of. These guys want to continue from where their forebears could not continue. And when Nigeria, upon independence, Sir Ahmadu Bello, upon independence in 1960, Sir Ahmadu Bello, the premier of Northern Region, he said Nigeria is the inheritance of their forebears, and they will continue from where their forebears stopped, and they will not relent until they dip the Quran in the Atlantic Ocean. That was what Sir Ahmadu Bello said in the First Republic. Gradually, in 1979, in 1978, 79, the Constituent Assembly made Sharia, one of its priorities, which ordinarily, as a secular country, we are not supposed. It made Sharia one of its priorities in deliberations, more than other developmental efforts. And then in 1985-86, General Babangida, without approval, registered Nigeria into Organization of Islamic Countries. You see the growth of this whole thing. Now we are aligning toward Islamism more than secularity in a country that is otherwise secular. Now, in 1999, at the dawn of a new republic, a republic handed to us by the military government of Abdul Salam Abubakar, a constitution that we never approved was given to us. In that constitution, Sharia is mentioned up to 64 times. Islam is mentioned up to 52 times. These are not accidents. Muslim is mentioned up to 18 times. There's a zero mention of Christ, zero mention of Christianity, zero mention of church. In 1999, while the whole world was looking at the dawn of a new millennium and also a new century, and if you remember, we're talking of computer shutdown, the Y2K stuff, Nigeria was thinking of just, transcending to Sharia. In October 1999, the young guy in Zamfara State, Sani Yerima, just enacted Sharia law. And it was later followed by 11 other states. Why? In a secular country. Are you seeing that this thing has always been systematic and deliberate and targeted? Okay, Sharia law in a secular country in 1999, when the world was thinking differently. That is the same year, 1999, that on December 31st, a 66-year-old or 67-year-old Boris Yeltsin, the then president of Russia, surprised the entire Russian Federation by announcing his resignation. He still had several months to go in his tenure, but he resigned. And in his resignation speech, he said, in fact, it is wrong. In fact, it is inappropriate for him to lead Russia into the new century, which is the following day, 1st January 2000, into the new century and new millennium with antiquated ideas. A man of 67 calling his ideas antiquated, and then handed over the reins of government to a then 41-year-old KGB director and prime minister, Vladimir Putin, who up to this moment is the president. Now, that was how the world was thinking. But Nigeria was thinking about Sharia. Why? Because it has been the dream of their phobias. Now, to my friend David and any other person who may be holding the view he has held for so long. After Agbani Darigos was crowned Miss World in 2001, 2002 wanted to host the Miss World. Was it mineral resources that caused that protest by the Islamists in the northern part of Nigeria, that they burnt over 300 churches in Kaduna, killed over 500 Christians in Kaduna, over Nigeria's attempt to host the Miss World? In 2006, there was a drawing of Prophet Muhammad, a caricature in Denmark, but they reacted in Nigeria. So these have been the templates for what we're facing now. In the past, we said, okay, there's farmer header crisis. Yeah, we agree to a very great extent that in the past we've been relating there's free grazing, and sometimes we do clash. That's when the Fulanis were into foliage and using sticks, and the thief man, for instance, will even after farming will gather, all the dry leaves of the foliage, and keep for the Fulani man. But it started taking a different turn around 2009 to 2011, when these guys started coming strictly for our land, and they started from Plateau to southern Kaduna, and they took over many of these towns. As we speak right now, maybe David doesn't know this. There are hundreds of communities in Kaduna that have been taken over. He said he went to Kajuru. In that Kajuru, even Adara has been made an emirate. They've taken it over. They've converted these communities into emirates. They appointed emirs instead of the Agom, the traditional chief of the Adara people. They've turned this place to emirs. They've turned over many of these communities in Plateau. I was born and raised in Jos. I know so much of Plateau. My nursery was in Jos, Fatima. My primary was in Jos, Fatima, and St. Teresa's. And then I went to Government College Kefi, which is today Plateau State. And I did my IJMB at SPS Kefi, which is today National State University. I know so much of the history, and my siblings, of course. I have a Muslim stepfather. My mom is a Muslim. Is from Tunga in Awe local government, which is another epicenter of all this. Now, around 2014, these guys started waging war against us to take over our land. And when we started asking them, they were using the guise of grazing. We in Benue, we sat down, we said, okay, your complaint is grazing, isn't it? That's the pretext these guys were coming with, grazing. We sat down. In the entire history of Benue State, a state created 50 years ago, there is no law that has been the collective, that has gained the collective approval of the Benue people, like the open grazing prohibition and ranching establishment law of Benue State of 2017. We sat down before the enactment of this law. I, Frank Utor, I was part of the lawyers of MAFO, an organization in Benue. MAFO is MAFO, which stands for Movement Against Fulani Occupation. We went to the ECOWAS court in Abuja. I was part of the legal team. We instituted, and at that point, we're calling it genocide, because that is exactly what it has always been. It has met every requirement of the Genocide Convention, the Rome Convention of 1948, the United Nations Charter on the prevention and punishment of the crimes of genocide. It has met every element of it. That we are facing a targeted killing by a certain group of people with the intent, that intention has always been there, to destroy us in whole or in part. Because of what? Because of our ethnicity is there, which is one of the elements, or the element of religion has always been there. And the other elements in genocide, nationality and race. These have always been there. So we went to the conference. Then in 2017, I, under the auspices of VATI, Vanguard Against Thief Massacre, a platform we formed in Abuja, and I personally coined the name VATI, Vanguard Against Thief Massacre. We staged one of the biggest protests in Abuja and went to the National Assembly. The National Assembly couldn't sit that day because we blocked the gates. I sent you the pictures, Precious, where I addressed at the gate of the National Assembly. I addressed World Press Conference. I made a World Press Conference. You could see the banners. We called it genocide because I observed a lot of people started contesting this because America is calling genocide now. But we Nigerians have been calling it genocide as far back as 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 8 years ago. And that's why I'm giving you the chronology of when we started this. So 2017, I sent you those pictures.
Are you referring to these images?
Exactly. This is me. You can see all these the thief caps behind me. All this, you could see all this. This you could see how young I was. You know, this was 9 years ago. That's 2017. Yeah, 9 years ago. You know, so we called it. This is me. This is the this is the protest. That's the gate of the National Assembly. You know, so in that same year, in August of that year, the National Assembly House of Representative Committee on Police Affairs invited us to appear and make our presentation. I sent you those pictures to and the videos in the National Assembly, the Green Chamber. You know, we went there, we made our presentation on this genocide. On this genocide. That was September 2017. And the law in Benue was passed in November 2017. Because the law, all the groups that were invited to appear at the State House of Assembly in Benue to make their presentation all accepted the law. And that law was passed. Only for these guys to react to the law. The law was passed in November of 2017. And they reacted to the law on 1st of January 2018, where they killed 72 people in my local government of Guma and about 16 others in the local government of Logo. Those were the people that were given mass burial by the government of Samuel Otom in 2018, January of 2018. We were calling, if you go to the burial site right now in Makurdi on welfare quarters to mobile barracks road, Makurdi, you see the signboard. What is written on the signboard is the burial site for the victims of Fulani genocide. That was as far back as 2018. Nobody was listening to us. Nobody was talking mineral resources. A lot of people started talking because America reacted to it. Why did America react? America did not react so much. I keep letting you guys know. They did not on their own just stand up to react. We, the victims, and like I keep saying, nobody can tell our story better than us. We, the victims, the survivors, the witnesses to this genocide that has been happening. We're the ones who petition. You are aware that my Lord Bishop has always been coming here, Bishop Anagbe. He was here during Trump's first administration when Trump declared this, designated as CPC. He was here again 3 times in the last 1.5 years. 3 times. Bishop Anagbe, that's my Lord Bishop. I belong to the Catholic Diocese of Makurdi. I'm a Catholic. I'm a knight in the Catholic Church. That's my Lord Bishop. His flock in Yerwata were the people killed. So when these guys came in June last year, there wasn't anything natural resources at the back of it. It was about killing us for who we are, thief people, Christians. They targeted the church, my mission in Yerwata, St. Joseph Catholic Church, where about 500 people were taking refuge there at the time of that attack. They were repelled by the police. And so when they were repelled by the police, they now redirect they now redirected.
Okay, because I'd like you to quickly wrap up your thoughts so that we can
to the market, and that is why they got that number, because nobody was challenging them at the market, where they burnt these people. These people are not just disposable; they are not expendables. These are people well known to me. These are people, 42 of whom are my direct family relatives. You know,
Are
these
you
are
speaking
people that
about the last year water attack June, July?
exactly. That's the biggest massacre of last year anywhere in the world.
Okay.
That's the biggest single massacre anywhere in the world last year that was committed within 4 hours. Anywhere. It never happened in the war between Israel and Houthi, or Israel and even the 12-day war between Israel and Iran, or Israel and Gaza, or even in the Democratic Republic of Congo, you know, or even between Russia and Ukraine, that within 4 hours, 270 people were killed last year. It happened in my village. It went into infamy that this happened in my village. So we, the victims, we're the ones who raised this. So when we begin to hear these conspiracy theories of, we agree, like a lot of, for everything that happened, there are conspiracy theories. We say, oh, because we have natural resources. Why is it not happening in Botswana? They have so much diamond. And Ghana, that has so much, that has gold, and South Africa has gold. You know, why is it not happening in many of these places? Yes, we agree that there is an element of what he's saying that it's happening in Democratic Republic of Congo. We agree to a very great extent, because right from the independence of Congo in 1960, that has always been the case. Like right from the time of Patrice Lumumba up to today, that has always been the case. But for us, it may happen. The story in Zamfara may be different. I'm not conversant with that story. Maybe I may rely on David to tell me. It may be different, but we are talking of middle belt. The middle belt of Nigeria, the story is different because it has always been there, right from 1804. Right from 1804, and they've never said, okay, it has stopped. They've never told us that it has stopped. They've always told us, look, the people who killed my people in Yerwata, right now, about 9 of them were arraigned. Is any of their statement, does any of their statement relate to mineral resources? It's about the land. It's about the chairman of Meyati Allah of Nasarawa, whom I know personally, Dano, the major suspect in this case that's going on right now, has always been saying it. Mohamed Lawal Dano. These are people like I keep telling you, these are people we know very well. So some of us don't depend on conspiracy theories because we have concrete evidence, direct evidence of what has been happening in our land and the reason why this has been happening. The reason why this has been happening. We have direct evidence. So it is a matter of you now matching direct evidence with circumstantial, not even circumstantial evidence, with a secondary evidence, if at all is really an evidence. And finally, he mentioned Steve Enada. Steve Enada is well known to me. Is well known to me here in the United States. I don't know much of what he's doing, but he has an organization called Icon. Icon. But the part I'm interested in what he's doing is the part that affects us. He's also from Benue. He's Idoma. Although person like me, come from the very community where this is happening. So I really don't know because here in the United States, there are a lot of associations and organizations who have been making the case for Nigeria. There's the Birom movement in the United States here who have been making that case. There's a Mutual Union of the Thieves, MUTA, in the United States who have been making such a case. There's the Association of Idoma in the United States who have been making this case. There's even a general umbrella body of the Association of Middle Belters, which all of us belong, which have been making that case. So it's not just one person. There are a lot of it. Even the Safe Nigeria group, the SNG, have been making that case. So you see, whatever happens here is the fact that United States listen to us, and of course they have part of one of our foreign policy is the responsibility to protect. They have the RCP to this. When you listen to this, it's a tangible case. They will have to react, and we call them to react. And this is not the first time they are reacting to issues like this. Trump did it in his first tenure, and he has done it again in his second tenure.
All right, thank you, Barry Soto. But just to ask very quickly, are you aware of any rare earth mineral in your water, your community?
No, listen, we don't. For now, I don't know if we have any mineral because our case has always been like that, But if there is a mineral deposited around us, then they should be mining it because for over 3 years, many of our communities, for more than 3 years, I'm saying 3 years, more than 3 years, many of the communities in Guma have been taken over by these guys. That's my local government. 70% of the communities in Guma have been taken. In my own council ward of Niev Council ward, 60% of the communities have been taken over by these guys.
All right. Thank you.
For the
Thank
past
you so
3 years.
much.
So what are they mining there? Nothing. Do you understand? Nothing, because we've been coming across them. Because sometimes some people do make attempt to go to their land to fetch one or two things, and then come across them. Nothing has been happening.
Let me quickly let David, head on his rebuttal. David, you've heard everything he explained. After listening to you, what's your take?
Well, again, I would say that everyone who is listening to this or watching this conversation, it broadly is going to fall into two groups. There are those who, no matter what evidence is presented in front of them, they need the emotionally satisfying explanation, and they are going to get it from him, right? So I guess that's not my audience, right? The people I'm speaking to are people who have decided intentionally to be intelligent. I understand.
David, can I take a moment? Because I'm sorry, but speaking from the perspective of an average human, whether from any side, but an average human being who have lost loved ones because of this massacre, would it be fair to call them emotional if the people who killed them say we're killing you?
It's just so funny. I was listening to
Yeah,
you, and I was
yes.
just
Well,
imagining.
So please, sorry.
I was imagining. How can you call
if
us
we're here to
emotional?
listen to you drone for 30 minutes, then let me
No,
know.
how can you
Right?
call us emotional?
So if
That's
we're
an
here
insult.
to just listen to you drone for
No,
30
that is
minutes, you
civic
can just let
callous.
me know so
It's
that I can
callous
leave you
mentioning
to
that
drone
statement.
by yourself.
David,
Right? It's
please,
supposed
No,
to be a
seriously, it's
conversation.
very callous
So if I don't
mentioning
get
that
to
statement.
speak and you just want to hear yourself talk, I can leave it for you so you can hear yourself talk. If that's
No,
what you want.
I just described it for what it is. It is
No,
so
if that's
callous.
what you want,
It
just
is
say so.
pride
All you have to do
us
is just say the
being
word.
mute
emotional.
yourself
Right?
and let him
If you
talk.
love
No,
the
but we
sound of
need
your
an
voice so
apology.
much,
We
all you have
need
to
an
do
apology
is
for
just
that
let me know, and
statement.
I'll leave you to talk to yourself.
Please.
No,
All right,
we
so
need
let
an
me go ahead.
apology for that
No,
I
statement.
will leave you to
so
talk to
please,
yourself
just
if you
let
like
him
the sound
speak,
of your voice
please.
that much.
I beg you.
No, but I will need an apology from you.
It's
You are
okay.
not
Calling us
getting one.
emotional.
Let's let him
You are
talk.
absolutely not getting one.
Please,
So
let's
these
let
are
him
the
So it's either we're
jihadists.
here to have a
These are the people
conversation,
sponsored by the
or you are
jihadists. You
here
understand?
to listen to yourself talk.
By
The
the sounds
You
of
will
you're
make your
being
decision.
unfair to me. Please, I
the
beg you,
$9 million
let him
is
talk.
working on these guys.
Let
We know
him
them.
talk, please. Okay.
We know them. These
So
are the
David,
jihadists. The
David, go
cash
ahead,
TVs.
please. David, go ahead. David, please go ahead and talk. He's on the side, and I'll bring him back. But so I'm sorry, I have to keep you at the side now so that we can hear David out, because he listened to you land your thought, and it's unfair if we don't let him also talk, so that we can have a balanced conversation. At least
This conversation is never going to be balanced. So I will say what I have to do. I will say what
So
I
I
have to
didn't ask
say,
you a question. I
and
said, would it
then
be fair for an average human who has lost loved ones because in the hands of these people, and when did they kill them? Did they tell them, say, Allah Akbar, would they kill you because you're not gonna leave this land for us? Just like Uthman has said. He said that he specifically said that they are there because the people refuse to give their land to them. So if people have lost their loved ones in the hands of people who killed them for that reason, would it be fair for you to call them emotional? That's actually what's why I interrupted you.
it will be fair for them to want to know who is responsible
For
it, for what happened to their loved ones. So again, it comes down to the question: do you want the emotionally satisfying answer, or do you want the actual answer? Because often the two are not the same. So because you heard some illiterate wearing rubber slippers telling you Allah Akbar, I'm here to kill you to take your land, and maybe that's what you want to believe, versus what may actually be going on, again, you then have a choice to make. Do you want to find out what is actually going on and who is actually orchestrating this? Do you want to know why this illiterate wearing rubber slippers has weapons that your military does not have?
it's okay, go
An
ahead and explain.
AK-47,
Go
an
ahead and
AK-47
explain.
that costs. Are you going
would
to let me
also,
talk?
would you also distance that from what he mentioned about
You have
opening
to let me finish
what
talking,
has happened?
please.
All right, so go
An
ahead.
AK-47 that costs $6,000 at least on the secondary market. Where did this semi-literate wearing rubber slippers get it from? Who gave it to him? How is this semi-literate wearing rubber slippers able to operate a military-grade drone and other air support for this their operation against your village? How did they do it? Did they learn that skill in a mosque? Who taught them? Who gave them that equipment? Again, you have to force yourself to ask and answer the right questions instead of just constantly looking for the emotionally satisfying outburst, right? Military equipment is not cheap. War is very expensive. Who gave these people that equipment? Where did they get it from? Who funded their training? It's one thing to even get hold of the equipment. It's another thing to even learn how to use it. There's all kinds of logistics, there's all kinds of funding, there's all kinds of supply routes. How do those things happen? You are in some place in some, Sahelian or sub-Sahelian environment in the middle of nowhere, and somehow these people are able to maintain this huge logistical operation. How do they do it? You are in an area where there are no physical all-weather roads. It is physically impossible to drive to this place, maybe on the day that it rains or something. It's one of those many places in the hinterlands of Nigeria where are not even physically accessible. These people there have whole camps. They have air support. They have motorcycles. They have fuel supply. They have food supply. They have condoms. They have, all sorts of things. They have AK-47s. They have rocket launchers. Where did they get that equipment from? Equipment that even the national military doesn't have. That is the question you have to ask. Instead of just running after the emotionally satisfying explanation of, oh, is this crazy Muslim that wants to kill me? Okay, let's say there is a crazy Muslim that just wants to kill you. Who is supplying these crazy Muslims with the things that let them kill you? How is it possible? And then is where you start to unravel the actual ugliness of what is going on. And you get to find out who is ultimately responsible for it, not who is the foot soldier that may or may not have killed your family member. And I understand that's a very painful experience to go through, but that person is the foot soldier. So if you want to base your entire worldview around that foot soldier that you saw, then you're not going to reach a very intelligent conclusion.
Let's hear
you want to find out who is behind this foot soldier. So let's start from the historical context of it.
So that he too can come in.
He said that sometime in the 70s or the 80s, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Nigeria all of a sudden started drifting toward Sharia, as he put it, which is true. That did happen. All of a sudden, seemingly, this extremely conservative brand of Sunni Islam, this Wahhabi Salafi Islam, came into Nigeria. Where did it come from? The answer, as I established very, very, comprehensively back in 2021 when I wrote my story, the story Conflicts for Jihad, was that this was a movement that was incubated in Saudi Arabia, right? And we know on whose behalf it was incubated. This was during the Cold War. Part of the US government strategy for winning the Cold War was to weaponize religion for a variety of reasons. And the Islamic, just like Christianity was weaponized in its own way to win an ideological wing of the Cold War, Islam was also weaponized in another way, specifically Wahhabi Islam, which up until the 70s didn't exist outside of the Arab Gulf. It was a very niche form of Islam, which is why at that point, the Islam that was practiced in Nigeria wasn't the kind you recognize now. And then in 1979, when this Muslim World League, which was the main vehicle for exporting this extremely conservative and violent form of Islam, came into Nigeria, and then the person we now know today as, what's his name now? Sheikh, what's that his name again? Sheikh Gumi, his father, Abubakar Gumi, became sort of the ideological godfather of Wahhabism in Nigeria. And in 1979, the group that was coalesced around him, which we know today as the Izala movement or Jibwis, which is essentially the crucible that created Salafism or Wahhabi Islam in Nigeria, which is where the violence that became Maitatsine and later Boko Haram came from. So ultimately, that pipeline, that ideological pipeline of violence, where did it come from? We've established where it came from. It came from Saudi Arabia under the guidance of the US State Department. It was a vehicle for winning the Cold War. So that's the ideological part of it. Now,
all of these ideas or ideology.
No, I haven't finished. I haven't finished giving my answer. You have to let me finish.
Link it to what he said
Again, you have to let me finish. Like I'm giving a historical overview of what is happening, and when I'm explaining something, there is a context to it. So again, people need to learn to listen to things in long form. I explain in long form. So that's the ideological underpinning of some of this violence anyway, which then led to your Sheikh Pantamis and those other things that he was describing. So we've established where that came from. Now, the physical manifestations of this large-scale violence. First of all, I should also mention that if he or whoever thinks that there is a general, widespread Islamic goal of wiping out Christianity or Christians, in Nigeria. Anybody who believes that should simply go and take a look at the record of how many Christians have been president of Nigeria versus how many Muslims have led Nigeria. And you'll find out that many, many more Muslims have led Nigeria than Christians. So if indeed there was this huge Islamic conspiracy to exterminate or extinguish Christians or Christianity in Nigeria, then this would have had to be the most incompetent conspiracy of all time. Because they had all the time.
Just like you said, there's a mention of Islam and Islamic religion in our constitution, and no other religion, including the African traditional religion, was mentioned.
Fantastic. Fantastic. That is true. And under whose watch was that? Because again, we need to tell the complete story. So in 1998, when Sani Abacha died, very mysteriously, and then what's his name? Abubakar, I forget his first name, the white-haired guy, came into power. Under whose protection was it? Abdul Salam Abubakar. Under whose protection did that happen? And then when the so-called transition to democracy took place and Olusegun Obasanjo became president, and then there was this whole Sharia thing that started from Zamfara, under whose watch did all of this happen? Because as I'm sure he knows very well, and he decided to selectively not remember, this all happened under the watchful gaze of the US State Department, which stage managed all these events. They were the ones who created the so-called transition to democracy. They were the ones who got rid of Abacha. They were the ones who made Obasanjo president. All of this happened under their watch. This happened right under them. And then, as he rightly said, maybe up until maybe 10, 15 years ago, we weren't hearing of these sort of, shocking large-scale violent events, like on the scale of like Yelwata or Agatu in Benue. And then all of a sudden, around 2016, all these things exploded. Why did that happen? What circumstances changed to make all of this start happening around 2016? So the same Muslims who apparently have had this genocidal desire to wipe out Christianity for some unknown reason since the 1800s apparently, and they didn't do it all this while, even though they've had the presidency and the military, and they've had all the levels of power to do it. All of a sudden in 2016, that was when they decided to start doing, for some as yet unspecified reason. And then their method for accomplishing this thing was to weaponize these semi-literate, rubber slippers wearing idiots who cannot spell their names. And somehow these people started having access to weapons that even the military doesn't have. And somehow, in the process of exterminating Christians or Christianity or whatever, they somehow managed to kill more Muslims overall than Christians. So again, this would have to be the most incompetently executed.
What's the statistics that more Muslims have died more than Christians? What's the statistics?
These statistics are readily available. Again, you can literally Google it from the US State Department reports.
From the look of things, communities that have been run over, that are currently non-existent, or that have been taken over by
the US State Department report on religious freedom in Nigeria states this: that overall, the number of Muslims that has died is more than the number of Christians that has died. You can confirm this. Again, this is why I keep on stressing that people need to stop listening to whose voice is the loudest in the room and start looking at the actual data. Because there are people like Mr. Frank, whose job is to come here and do their voice modulation and do their voice up and down and, juggle your emotions and make you feel a certain type of way, even though they're talking absolute nonsense.
No. I am asking practically from what we have on ground, from all the communities that have been run over, that the people in those communities are no more. And from the number of people we have in IDP camp right now, what is the number of Christians versus Muslims? Because I do know from
go to the US State Department report
than Muslims, but I don't know.
Go to the US State Department report on religious freedom in Nigeria.
So why would I believe US reports against what I have on hand? I have spoken to people on IDP.
Data is what we need, not gist, not anecdotes. We work with data.
Go ahead, please.
Right, and the data states that overall, the number of Muslims that has been killed is actually more than the number of Christians that has been killed.
Then who killed them?
Now, that is the question. That is exactly the question. Okay. Now you're asking the right question. Who killed them and why? Because if you're trying to examine it through a religious lens, it makes absolutely no sense. If you're trying to exterminate Christians, why are you killing more Muslims than Christians? If you're trying to establish an Islamic caliphate, why are you killing people who are already Muslims and who already fall in line with your caliphate? What good does that do you? And then you start seeing the wider picture here that something else entirely is happening, and it is not some infantile idea of somebody trying to exterminate one religion on behalf of another religion. That is not what is happening. And then I guess the most obvious smoking gun, which he, for whatever reason, chose not to mention, is that he himself, he is talking as if he is neutral in all of this. He works under George Saul, right? He has a very well-known financial incentive to hold the positions that he holds.
Are you speaking about Barrister Frank Utor?
That exactly. He works under George Saul, right? So the video that you mentioned, when you gave me this invitation, the spearhead video, all of this was covered in that video. In fact, I hope
the persecuted.
I hope you play that video actually later on, because it actually contains all of this information. These are men, Kyle Abbs, George Saul. These are US state actors who have all sorts of links to US secret intelligence and US economic interests. So George Saul, for example, he has a friend who has an economic interest in oil prospecting in the Benue Trough. And the same George Saul just so happens to be so keenly interested in Christians in Benue. And then you have someone working under him here who's coming here to do voice modulation. Again, it's up to people. It's up to people. It's up to people. It's up to people. People have a responsibility to themselves in Nigeria of today, as I said, to learn to let go of this Nigerian habit of listening to whose voice is the loudest and who can shout the most dramatically, and start looking at data and facts and evidence instead. Because I am not the one who is going to. I am not the one who is going to come here and outshout Frank Utor. His voice is louder than mine. He can shout from now till tomorrow. I have no interest in doing that. What I can do is give people facts, figures, data, and tell you to go and verify it yourself. Don't even take my word for it. Now, if people do not want to interact with reality, because again, their emotions are more important to them, if you have decided that your chosen narrative is that the crazy Muslims want to exterminate us, victimize Christians, and that is what is happening here, there's no amount of facts that I'm going to say that's going to make any difference to you, and that's fine. As I said when I started out, there are two categories of people who are listening to this conversation. Some have already made up their minds, and some are willing to at least examine the evidence before reaching an endpoint. So I'm not here to recruit anybody. I'm not here to beg anybody to believe anything. All I'm just here saying is these are the facts. This is what is happening. Whether people want to then engage with that reality or not is completely up to them, right? You are dealing with somebody who has an economic incentive to spout the stuff that he's spouting. You are dealing with someone who is getting paid to say certain things, and I don't say that lightly. You can literally download an IRS Form 99 online, stating that this organization, so and so organization, this person works with this organization. He's not saying these things for free, right? So he will come here and say, "Oh, yeah, we are the ones who are dealing with the experience on ground, and you are just a guy who is doing internet research and blah blah blah." Again, emotional narrative designed to trigger your emotional core, right? I am not here to trigger your emotional core. As much as you don't want to hear it, I don't really care about your emotions, because there are more important things going on in the world. The people who are making these decisions and the people who are responsible for killing hundreds of thousands of people so that they can get hold of a piece of land to mine lithium or tantalite or crude oil from the Benue Trough, those people don't care about your emotions either. Those are the most dangerous people in the world, and those are the people you are dealing with. So it's better that you understand the reality, the ugliness of what is happening, how the world really works, than for someone to sit down here and tell you, oh, there's one Islamic caliphate somewhere, and there is the Muslims who are responsible for all of this. The Muslims who have not been able to drag themselves out of poverty. The Muslims who are statistically among the poorest people in Africa somehow have been able to put together this huge logistical operation to carry out the genocide. Israel has not been able to successfully genocide Palestine after 3 years of trying. Israel is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. And it's a bunch of poor rubber slippers wearing Islamic idiots who supposedly are carrying out a Christian genocide. It's a stupid idea.
So, David,
But it's a very emotionally successful one.
Ask a question that how come it's only the Chinese that are able to have access to these areas that we have bandits are operating? How come the Chinese is still there and they're still mining, even though,
I don't know who told you that it's only the Chinese, because again, Nigerians have this habit of hearing.
That's a message you can see clearly highlighted.
I know. I don't know who told this person that it's only the Chinese. Nigerians hear something from somewhere and they just start repeating it. I know people who are involved in illegal mining or artisanal mining in Nigeria, and I'm telling you that it's a free-for-all. Everybody's there. There's Australians, there's Canadians, there's Chinese, there's Americans, there's mainland Europeans, there's everybody. It's a free-for-all. Nobody actually knows who is doing what, because it's kind of like Eastern DR Congo, where it's basically a group of fiefdoms that are protected by, like, each territory has like a little warlord that is protecting it and extracting stuff. For those who don't know, the Middle Belt and Northern Nigeria are filled with unregistered airstrips. There's literally dozens, if not hundreds of them. And that, again, for those who don't know, that is part of the reason why Nigeria, as was very well publicized over the past week, I think the NCAA came out and said it, that radar coverage in Nigerian airspace is obsolete, and that soon it will be very difficult to even tell what planes are in the air in Nigeria. There's a reason why radar coverage in Nigeria is deliberately has been made obsolete. It's because there are a lot of aircraft in Nigerian airspace that you can't even see. They fly with their transponders off, and that's what they're doing. They're transporting minerals that have been illegally mined. This is a booming trade, right? All that gold that is being sold in the gold district in Dubai, Dera, whatever, apart from Sudan and DRC, where do you think it's coming from? It's coming from northern Nigeria. That is what is happening in the world, right? Nigeria is just hemorrhaging everything it has, and the people who live there are the primary victims of this. Now, instead of the people being made aware of the fact that they all share a common enemy, right? And that common enemy does not look like them. That common enemy is some white guy in some boardroom in Canberra that they've never met before. That's who their actual ultimate enemy is. That's the person who is stage managing all of this. Instead, they then get sold this chimera that, no, it's the person next to you, the person that looks just like you, the person who is just as poor and miserable as you are, but that person belongs to a different religion, and he's the one trying to kill you, right? And you will never ask yourself the basic questions. How does this poor person who is suffering just even more than I am, how did this person get hold of a weaponized drone?
In clear terms, who is responsible for this and what is the way out? We're here to educate Nigerians. We have listened to all that you've said. So I'd like you to speak clearly so that Nigerians will understand what you talk. We dare here because we want to make people learn and hear from different perspectives. So in clear terms, who be the people who are responsible for these killings and what will be their aim? Make we know. Then make also, because we don't hear your own parts, but you never really talk your own parts specifically, as in
I have, but I'll say it again. I'll say it again for the. I have said it multiple times in this conversation, but I'll say it again for the benefit of the hearing challenged. The people who are responsible for this, I guess you can call it a genocide against the indigenous people in these areas of the Middle Belt and Northern Nigeria, are the extractors. They are white men who come from the US, they come from Canada, they come from Australia, they come from all over. And their job is to ensure that they extract and that you get as little benefit from that extraction as possible. These are the same white men who pulled the same stunts in the DR Congo. These are the same white men. He said he made a very silly comment. He said, "Oh, why isn't it happening in Ghana?" Mr. Man, it's happening in Ghana. And the same people are here doing the same thing, the exact same thing. There are entire communities in the Ashanti region and in northern Ghana where there's a lot of gold mining going on, where the natives have been chased off their land by heavily armed people. The Ghanaian military is in combat with those people right now, in case you don't know. The same thing happening in Nigeria is happening in Ghana too. It's the same people. It's the same thing going on everywhere there's resource endowment across the continent. The same thing is happening. It's happening in Nigeria, it's happening in Ghana, it's happening in Burkina Faso, it's happening in Mali, it's happening in Mozambique, it's happening in Angola, it's happening in DRC. It will keep happening because that is how the world works. So it's not some fairy tale idea about some people seeking caliphate who have not eaten this morning. And those are the people who are going to do caliphate and genocide you. Genocide is a very, very logistically tasking operation. Who are the people who have the ability to put such an operation together? The same people who supposedly have wanted the genocide since the 1800s and haven't been able to do it, despite controlling
David,
all the governance structure of Nigeria.
Are you alienating the Uthman Dan Fodio narrative from this conversation? It doesn't, get anything at all to do with it in the apple for Nigeria. That one are different thing altogether.
It's not impossible. I'm saying that whether or not there exists some Islamic nutcase somewhere that wants to dip the Quran into the Atlantic, create a caliphate or whatever, whether such a person exists or whether such a group exists or not, is completely irrelevant to the reality on the ground. Because such a group, whether it exists or not, has no power to do any such thing, as is evidenced by Nigerian history.
Well, there's enough power that has made the Quran have gained more representation in the constitution as against any other.
And again, I will ask you, on whose watch did it happen?
Does it matter? It is happening.
Of course it matters, because that is the story.
Who writes
that is exactly the story.
So, is he a Christian? That's a question.
Again, on whose watch did it happen? Because yes, Abdul Salam Abu Bakr was the face that you saw. Who was behind him?
That's what you're saying.
Who was the power behind Abdul Salam Abu Bakr? Who made him the president? Who made Obasanjo the president? Because these are not secrets. These are very well-known things. These are things that are written about in history books. So when this guy who is working for some American guy that has an interest in destabilizing Benue or wherever, then comes and says, oh, it's my village or whatever, and he's not disclosing to you that he has an economic interest in selling this narrative, and that he's literally working for the very white people, the very white people who are destabilizing Nigeria. He's actively working for them, and then pretending that he's a good guy. He's on the side of the oppressed people. He's trying to save his village. Meanwhile, I can see very clearly what is going on here. So again, as I said, people need to choose between the person who has the loudest and most dramatic voice modulation and public presentation,
you have
and the person
40 minutes now. So can I let him?
And the person who wants you to juggle your brain. So at this point, he's going to come in and start throwing English around again, start calling me conspiracy theorist.
And you refuse to say sorry because you've thrown a lot of.
He called me a conspiracy theorist. I've said facts, and his own response is, "Oh, it's a conspiracy theory," because that's what they always do.
But I did ask one question.
When they do not want to engage in what you've said, they say it's a conspiracy theory.
David, I did ask one question. When I asked you about your evidence on statistics on more Muslim killings than Christians, you said I should look at the US. And I asked you, the same US where they cause it in and get the evidence of these statistics. Because unlike waiting like they with see on ground, I have gone round and have done my research around.
When you say you have gone around, so you have gone around, you have gone around Middle Belt and Northern Nigeria, and you have concluded that more Christians died than Muslims.
Just hold on. I have done my investigation around IDP camps and displaced communities. Evidence shows that there are more Christian displaced communities than Muslim displaced communities. And evidence shows that there are much more Christians. There are more Christians.
Evidence from who? Because this is just a thing you are saying. It is not true.
You and I can visit IDP camps. I'll go see.
It is categorically not true. This thing you just said. You cannot defend that in court. It is not true.
IDP camps, the ones in Benue, the ones in Plateau, the ones in Abuja, which of them make we go to? I'm not vexed. I just ask. And my at least my statistics may not be all that. So
you know what, Precious? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I agree.
So we can learn.
I agree. It's
evidence of more should also let us know.
I agree, Precious. It's Nigeria's problem. Nigeria's problem is Allahu Akbar. It's Christians that are killing Muslims.
No. That's not fair if you say that. And the way I gathered my statistics, I called heads of people from different IDP camps, and I asked from your head counts, how many Christians versus Muslims do you own a camp? I did ask that question. And I wouldn't just come here to make dumb statements. I did ask. And from what I have, no matter the littlest margin, there's a bit more of Christians than Muslims in those IDP camps, and including in the communities that have been run over. And that is not to say that Muslims, and I don't think Barrister Utor, in fairness to him here, has ever said that Muslims have never died. No, he didn't mention that. And I don't also think that anybody anywhere, including in the US, including Donald Trump, has never said that Muslims don't die. He also did acknowledge that Muslims are dying.
So you have gone from it's a genocide against Christians to a little more Christians than Muslims died.
I have not said my thoughts here that it's a genocide against Christians, and you know that. I didn't. I'm telling you the narrative. When I mentioned the genocide, I mentioned narratives of people, and I have not said in my opinion it's genocide is. I said that is what people appear make it look like it is, or people think it is because of the statistics and the manner of the confrontation. I didn't say that, and it's to be very unfair if you put words in my mouth or perhaps misquote me, because I don't say that categorically. And you know, go tell me sorry, it's okay, no problem. Sorry. You know, go make me tall as I'm not too tall, no problem.
It's
Let me
fine.
invite Barrister Utor for his rebuttal, and just so
which rebuttal again? Well, I cannot. We'll be going back and forth.
You have spoken twice. He needs to speak twice, and it will be unfair. So when he's not talking,
okay, he should speak. He should speak. That's fine.
Look, I am not an INEC chairman here. I want to be very, very, very fair to everyone.
He should speak, but I also want to make it clear that I have no interest in anything he has to say.
It's okay.
I'm just going to say that very clearly.
Backstage, like I put in backstage, and
fantastic.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, Barrister Utor, sincere apologies of putting backstage, just like I'll also
no problem. Listen.
Apologize to David for keeping him backstage. You've heard all that he said. First of all, do you work for equipping the persecuted? And what's your interest in what's going on in Nigeria? Because that's an accusation that David has made.
Okay, thank you so much, my sister. We did not come into this struggle thinking we can avoid this kind of mischief being propagated by David and his likes. But we come into this struggle knowing that this is the time to stop this kind of mischief. A lot of lives, thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives are being killed in the process. And some people are sitting in their cozy room, maybe somewhere in Lagos or in Togo, concocting, fabricating a theory.
Can you help me for the sake of time? Just go straight.
Hold on. No. I need a considerable time. Listen now. Listen, no, Precious. I seriously need a considerable time, even though it may not be as long as his, but I need a considerable time. Look, I was listening in amazement to what you were saying, and I could see a man who built his own conspiracy totally. Built fabric by fabric, woven like the way you build a sweater. Woven with ignorance, with mischief, and then an over-exaggerated impression of himself that, he knows this more than us. How you sat somewhere, we are from the place, then you are telling us, and then you come to tell me about me. I'm working for incentives. Right now, okay, let's start with me. You have videos, and anybody watching from Benue will know, and I want every prudent, reasonable listener, a listener who is prudent and who is reasonable to understand this. Anybody from Benue, and even if you search about me, you see, I've been one of the most vociferous voices against this in the last 15 years. In the last 15 years, I committed my entire life to it. That is my story. I am a lawyer. I came to the United States to study Masters in Public Policy and Non-Profit Management. Do you know why I put that non-profit? That is what I studied. That was what I graduated in December with from the University of Central Oklahoma. Public policy and non-profit. The non-profit is to get people from here who can support our communities for what we've been going through.
Are you saying you went to the United States to study for the sole purpose of helping the community?
Listen, Precious, okay. Use a little bit of reasonable sense. I'm a lawyer. Why was I not doing a postgraduate law degree in the US? I'm a lawyer. British trained lawyer. I came to the Nigerian Law School. I was president of my set in the Nigerian Law School, the 2012-2013 set of the Nigerian Law School, president of the Student Representative Council of the headquarters in Abuja. A lawyer. I came to the United States. I was not studying law. I was studying Masters in Public Policy and Non-Profit Management. Why am I studying that? Ask yourself. 2 years ago when I came, why was I studying that? Now, he was talking about incentives. You mean I'm needing an incentive to talk about my people, to talk about what I've been facing before coming here, to talk about the people killed, my own people, my siblings, my uncles, my aunties. So I need an incentive to talk about my nephew, a 1.5-year-old Sate Amaki, whose brain was burst, whose skull was burst, and his brain was spilled out. So I need incentive to talk about my cousin, Dogo Kikin, who was shot that day and killed. Or to talk about my brother Tembujo, who was burnt. I need an incentive to do that. Listen, I graduated in December and I started working for Equipping the Persecuted in January. I graduated in December.
Just this year.
Just this year, in January.
So prior to this time, you didn't have anything to do with
nothing. Prior to this time, I only made a presentation at the iconic National Press Building in Washington, just a few blocks away from the White House. One of their events, they invited me to speak as a survivor. Now, when I finished in December, I had the opportunity to work with Catholic charities here in Oklahoma. Very good pay, Catholic charities. I was given an employment card. In
line with what you studied?
In line with what I've studied. Okay. And then I'm a knight in the Catholic Church here, a Knight of Columbus.
Okay.
So I was to work with Catholic charities. But I was the one who reached out to Equipping the Persecuted. Because their focus is Nigeria.
Okay.
Their focus is Nigeria.
Okay.
So I want to see an avenue where I can help my people. Because if I'm working with Catholic charities here, their target is just the less privileged here in America. The homeless here in Oklahoma, the homeless, the people below, the poverty belt, they don't have concern with Nigeria. So any reasonable person in my position will think of the non-profit that is focused on working in Nigeria, because that is exactly what I've been doing. So does that make sense? The guy was just talking, he was talking about me. Like,
so
he was deceiving an audience to say that he knows me. Look,
which interest the organization gets for waiting the gun for Nigeria? Because
listen, Precious, Equipping the Persecuted has been working in Nigeria for the past 7 years.
I'm aware of that.
Since 8 years. 8 years. It has been working in Nigeria. Jossol first went to Nigeria. Jossol, the executive director, first went to Nigeria in 2011 with his grandfather, who was a missionary. I grew up in Jos. If you were in Jos during our time, you know that there are a lot of white missionaries in Jos. And up to this moment, you have white missionaries scattered all around Nigeria. Many are in Benue. You see that Danish woman in Akwa Ibom who was able to raise one lady that they say they wanted to kill her for witchcraft.
Yes, and then
those are missionaries, for goodness sake.
The little boy that had HIV too.
Those are missionaries. There are a lot of them in Nigeria. That is a notorious fact. There are a lot of. So George Saul started his first time was when he visited with his grandfather, and he saw what was happening in Nigeria. I visited 2 times a year with his grandfather. He saw what was happening. So he now took over from his grandfather, established Equipping the Persecuted to, as the name says, to equip these people. Because if you go to our IDP camps, let me tell you, see, last month, my younger sister, who is at the IDP camp in Makodi, Mercy Utor, using my son name, when this guy is just, he lacks empathy. My own siblings are in the IDP camps in Makodi. My youngest sibling is just 3 years old. He's in the IDP camp. My father died in 2023. The guy was just barely 4 months old when my dad died. Tehide Utor. He's in the IDP camp. She was telling me that they gave them just individual noodle, one noodle for 4 people. And that was what they were giving throughout that week.
And now, for record purposes, do you think there are more Muslims in IDP camps across Nigeria?
See, look, we have about about 1.4 million IDPs in Benue State. There's no single Muslim in the IDP camp in Benue. There's no single Muslim in the IDP camp in Nasarawa State. The IDP camps in Nasarawa State are in Obi local government, in Kiana local government, in Doma local government, and in Awe local government. There's no single Muslim, one in the IDP camp. The IDP camp in Plateau, all this, they are either in Riom, in Barkin-Ladi, in Mangu. There's no Muslim. Maybe because of what happened in Kanam. Kanam is a local government that has considerable number of Muslims in Plateau, Kanam. Maybe because of what happened recently, some have moved to the IDP camp. Who are the Muslims in the IDP camp in southern Kaduna? In the Kajuru that he went. Who are the Muslims? Now, he was making such a rudimentary argument by saying, oh, these guys, these Almajiris, This because they are Almajiri killing people, so they don't have the funds. They don't. Jihad is an expensive venture. Does he know about the Muslim Brotherhood? What they've been doing? They've sponsored a lot of projects, a lot of researches in America, in Europe. Does he know what Qatar is doing with its multi-billion-dollar oil money? Does he know what Iran? How many times have arms been busted in Nigeria that were coming from Iran? You remember the time where this guy that owned Magic Land in Abuja, that Lebanese guy, where arms were busted that were coming from Iran to him? You know, around 2015 or so. How many about around 2013 or so? How many times? Jihad is an expensive venture. The people, the Almajiri are the foot soldiers. He's talking about, he said, oh, the genocide is an expensive, good and fine. But the Rwandan genocide, that is the most popular genocide in Africa, were they millionaires who executed the genocide? Were they not just slippers wearing people? Precious. Were they not the neighbors who were carrying machetes and cutting the necks of their Tutsi neighbors? Hutus. But in that same genocide, Hutus died. So for the fact that Muslims are dying does not take away the fact that it was a genocide. In the same Rwandan genocide, where Tutsis were killed, moderate Hutus were also killed. In the Christian genocide in Syria during the ISIS period, more Muslims were killed. But Christians were killed for their faith. Now the guy is totally ignorant of what the law says on most of these things. Look, in the commission of a crime, a criminal can come into a room and commit up to 10 crimes. Criminals can come into the room I'm sitting right now and abduct one and kidnap one, take one and be asking for ransom when they take. That's kidnap. And then rape a woman and then shoot one, culpable homicide. And then steal from one, robbery. So if the Muslims, if Islamist jihadists go to Zamfara and kill fellow Muslims, that is terrorism. If they come to Middle Belt and kill us because of our faith, because of our religion, that is genocide. One person committing different crimes. One person committing different crimes. And that is why I gave you the analogy of a criminal coming into a room. That is why we have counts of charges when you are arraigned in court. That you committed this particular charge, you still do the other one, you do the other, only you. Murder. Here, attempted murder. And then you burn the house, arson. Because you burn the house. So there's arson in it.
All right. So before we begin to pause, while I let you round up, because you open phone lines.
Look, he's trying to misinform everybody when he said we are saying Muslims are killing Christians. We're not saying Muslims. I told you here, my mom is a Muslim. We're not saying Muslims, we are saying Islamists, radical Islamists are killing Christians. And it is not just in Nigeria, it is happening all over the world. What is happening in Europe? What is happening in America that America is resisting right now? What is happening even with the Iran itself? This is somebody who glorify Ayatollah. Ayatollah who killed within 2 days. He killed 60,000 of his people. In the last 47 years, they killed over millions of their people, and millions. There's no country in the world that has diaspora citizens like Iran right now because of the oil fled. Because I saw his picture going to glorify Ayatollah, going to write condolences. So you could see where these guys are getting their energies from. You could see the ideology they believe. So for us,
listen, people have rights to believe what they have to
believe.
No,
hold on. For us, it's not something strange now. The jihadists were they not sponsoring Ivy League protests here in the United States? The Muslim Brotherhood, Qatar, Turkey, Iran, were they not sponsoring all these protests in the United States? Look, I am here in the University of Central Oklahoma. I belong to the Muslim Student Society because societies here in the universities are free for everybody to join. I know the communication. they've been sending to us before this Trump stuff made it to become very difficult for them to start coming out. They call the genocide, when they kill the Jews, they call it resistance. And then when Jews respond, they call it genocide. And that is the same argument the young man has taken. When they kill the Jews, they call it resistance. And when Jews make them to suffer the consequences of their action, then they call it genocide. That is exactly what is happening. So these guys are being sponsored. We know them because they are all over the United States in Ivy League institutions, sponsored by the likes of Qatar, many of these other guys,
No,
Iran. They are sponsored.
let's
Listen,
quickly take calls.
$9 million contract is working. The $9 million contract with the DCI group is working. So we know all these things. But look, it will never dampen our effort in fighting this. I work for Equipping the Persecuted. I'm a worker, a real worker, just like.
Are you saying that your organization does not have any interest in the minerals and all of that going on?
Why? Why should we go to mineral? When our organization, look, these guys, they fetch all these things he's telling you. They fetch it from my Facebook. They fetched pictures. I watched the video of Spearhead. I watched the video. Everything they fetch is on my Facebook. They fetch all those pictures, but they'll make maybe some of their gullible audience to feel as if they research. Oh my God, we know this. They begin to create an over-exaggerated impression. Meanwhile, the first this from my Facebook, he went to Facebook. He saw where I posted a picture of me, Kyle Apps, Sarah Makin, and Sean Nelson of ADF. And he started talking as if, oh, look, these are people, we know them. These are such nonsense. It's on my Facebook. I tagged all of them. Then he started feeling so comfortable trying to deceive an audience that may not know, saying, no, Frank works with Kyle Apps. He works with Sean Nelson. It's right there on my Facebook. And my Facebook is not even restricted to friends. It's public. Because there's nothing secret. We're not doing anything secret. All the videos they show you, all the pictures were on my Facebook that they fetch. But when they are telling you, they begin to make it look as if, no, we know this guy, Kyle Apps. He worked for Equipping the Persecuted. Look at it. They are the ones doing this. George Saw. When did you know George Saw? And if you really know George Saw, you know that this is what this guy has been doing. And let me tell you, finally, Precious, I was the one who projected George Saw. I was the one who brought it into the open. Because George Saw, very kind heart with a very good heart. He thinks about our people all the time. He cried over what is happening. You know, these guys are so emotional. You know, George Saul has always been acting so, behind the scene, providing relief materials, making support everywhere, supporting the lives of Dachomo. It was George Saul that brought Dachomo up. Truth Nigeria is this media subsidiary of Equipping the Persecuted. That's our media arm. Truth Nigeria have been giving terror tracks of what is happening. Has David ever given any community terror track? But we've been providing communities where attacks will be happening the following day. Because we have people on the ground. In Yerota, we have people. In Plateau, we have people. Masara Kim, all those guys, Mike Ode, all those guys, Pastor Dachomo. We get all those things. We give terror tracks. This is what is happening, and this community may be attacked tomorrow. We try to put guys on alert. Truth Nigeria. That is our media arm of the same organization, Equipping the Persecuted. And so the young man is coming to talk about me. I'm a worker for Equipping the I have other choices. Even in the Catholic Church, I was supposed to work with the Peru mission. But my target could have been Peru. And then I have the Catholic charities that I was supposed to work with, where my target was supposed to be the homeless in Oklahoma. So is it my fault? Am I wrong now to choose an organization? I reach out to them, not them reaching out to me. I say, I want to work with you guys because your target is my place, so that I can get things transferred to my people, relief material, and then be providing terror tracks to my people. And the young boy is saying I'm doing all those things for incentives. The thing I have been doing in Nigeria before coming here, that I've sent you videos and pictures. We went to ECOWAS court in 2015. What is the incentive? When we staged a protest in 2016 to the National Assembly, what was the incentives? We went to National Assembly Police Affairs Committee in 2017. What was the incentive? We staged different protests in 2019, 2021. What was the incentive? Then all of a sudden, because I'm in America and we're calling for external support, because we exhausted internal support in Nigeria, internal effort in Nigeria. We called Nigeria several times. We called them. Under the governor I served, Samuel Otom, he has been most vocal about this killing. I was in that government. We are from the same local government, Guma. One of the hardest hit local government. I was in that government. We made this thing, rather his mentors in the Fulani Caliphate were the ones that were saying, we thief. There's nothing they did not call us. Then now I found myself in the United States. I used the opportunity of my presence here to look for support for our people. And then the mysterious guy is saying I'm ignorant. I'm sorry. I'm going for perquisite, for incentives.
All right, Barisoto, is enough, please. I beg you. I beg you, please. It's enough so that we can take calls. Nigerians are calling and they want to be part of
Those
the
guys are so
There's been lots of
mischievous.
questions already. Hello, good evening and welcome. I'll bring David back in now, so please let's just be. Hello, good evening and welcome. Sir, you're welcome. What's your name? Where are you calling from? I didn't hear you. What's be your name and where you call from?
My name is Victor and I'm calling from Europe.
Okay, you're welcome. Go ahead straight to your question because there are lots of calls coming in.
I don't know if they will.
Go ahead.
Okay, good. My question is from.
You don't forget the question, okay?
No. I'm not forget. I didn't forget the question.
So go ahead.
My question is for David. My question is for David.
Okay.
Thanks for your great job. You've been doing a very good job in the journalism field in Nigeria, particularly. Your information has been very useful in the society. No. So my question now, I want to ask David, is two questions.
Please just go straight to the point. We'll wait for you.
When he did his investigation, when he just finished from school, according to his stories, he investigated the killings in the north and the middle belt.
That's what I said.
They found out for their reports were that it was a Christian genocide.
It not be exactly as he used put them, but just go straight to your question.
Okay. So my one question, what has changed from that time to now that he's no longer?
But he stated it now. He stated it, okay? So now we're not going to drag ourselves back and forth. Instead, he saying he don't know better now because investigations and other things they happen don't show him, so he don't know better. So we could leave that one. Go to the second question.
I need these two questions to be answered. He said he has discovered that it was not the same thing. What has changed? Because does it mean that no?
Can I just go, please? Like, I don't talking to more people. Like,
so please hurry up. Okay, so your second question is what?
Are those Christians being killed? No more. Are those people being killed? There are no more Christians.
All right, thank you.
I don't know what to say.
Which of the Muslim community have been sacked? Among all this community been sacked? I want to know.
All right, thank you. I think it's very clear and I can get you. Hello, good evening and welcome. Hi, Laura, you're welcome. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Good evening to your guests.
Thank you.
I just noted a few points.
David, if you can help us with yourself, please, so that thank you.
Benefit of all the listeners.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Laura.
Number one, I find it, as someone who comes from a minority community in the South, who, just we experience targeted, not on the basis of faith, but on the basis of ethnicity. We experience targeted killings for one reason or the other. I find it very offensive for someone to tell me the story. As a recipient, we were at home, my dad, my stepmom, my siblings. When some people walked into the compound, we very much thought our life would be gone from us at that point. It just turned out that the youth who walked into the compound that day, who we thought were from the other ethnic group, this was in the city of Warri, and it turned out that they were from our own ethnic group, and we were just checking to make sure that people were okay. But many people lost their lives that way because those youths just put petrol, added fire, made petrol bombs, threw it into the house, and that was it, everybody. So we saw our lives flash before us, that it just turned out to be that they were the youths from our own ethnicity. So I find it deeply, deeply, deeply disrespectful for someone to tell my story. I put myself in the shoes of the other gentleman, because I find it very, very offensive for someone to tell my story. My entire family.
So can you go straight to your question, Laura, so that we can tackle it, because I can't keep all my guests here for too long.
These are my points. Number one part of my point I'm making several points. Number one is I find it deeply disrespectful and very offensive for someone to tell their story.
You have noted that. Can we go to the second point, please? Please, because there's no time.
Secondly, I just want to let David know that he also said things about Aisha Yusufu being sponsored by the whole Bring Back Our Girls stuff was being sponsored.
Oh my God.
Aisha did interview and said, David, can you bring the facts out to show that I did not spoke? Aisha came on TV, did an interview and said she wrote everything.
Okay, so do we have somebody who actually has a question about what is being said here, or it's just people who feel like ranting about?
David is not able to bring facts out to say that Aisha Yusufu or
what does Aisha Yusufu have to do with this? Like, what are we doing here exactly? Like,
please, I don't know if someone is talking and
so David, please just calm down. Let people just.
No, she's wasting my time. So if she has something to ask, she should ask it.
No.
What is bringing Aisha Yusufu and all this nonsense? No, it's my time that you are using here. You don't tell me how to use my time.
And you made a point about the theory that David had come up with, and you saw the way Professor Chidiodi was described. Oh, please, just go back to one of your videos. You'll see how he quickly discredited your theory when you said everything. You said no. Thirdly, fourthly, when people do research, there is what I can't remember what it's called within research methodology, where they ask you about the researcher's bias. What's your bias? Are you coming here with a preconceived? Please, just allow me land on this. Are you coming with a preconceived conclusion rather than you've already written that conclusion? You just want to do your research to arrive at that point. I want to point out a researcher's bias here. We know that David was born into a Jehovah's Witness family. He later claimed
Precious, please, can we move to the next caller, please? This person is making me lose my temper. Please, can we move on to somebody who actually has something to say? Like, what is all this nonsense?
I gave you the basis of I'm giving you facts. I'm giving you legal basis, concrete basis. David is he has said it.
Okay. Precious, since you are here to waste your time and hours, I'm just going to.
David, can you just calm down? Let people just have their thoughts, please. People actually have actual.
Why is she here to waste my time and you are letting her do it? I'm holding you responsible for this.
All right. Thank you. You've made your point. Laura. Please, you've made your point. Let me let him answer.
I'll talk to yourself.
Those of us who did not believe this, when he was referring to Frank, he said unintelligent. I find that if you find people do not agree with you, and you instead of saying let's respectfully disagree, you said the people, your listeners were unintelligent. I find it really I find it very prideful. It's a smirk, it's a slap in the face. Not everyone who comes and speak broken English and we all laugh does not mean that we are unintelligent. We are unintelligent people. I find it deeply disrespectful. That's what I've come here to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Unfortunately, he's left the show, so let me just keep taking my calls very quickly. Have somebody in the back studio. I'm sure he'd want to say something. NS Eze, you're welcome. You have something to say very quickly. Go ahead before I take more calls.
Okay, yeah. I think both David and Frank, they are all making point. David is looking at the issue, on a broader picture. Why Utor is the person who is affected. So for Nigeria to solve the problem, two of them have to come to a particular point and meet and discuss the solution. So yeah, what I think I asked Utor question and Dr. Damages last time when he was there. No. So the problem of Nigeria, the killing is not new. Nigeria has been like that.
Let me make her keep it for back here. Then when you finish,
okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, I see saying no, let you talk. Hello, good evening and welcome.
Hello, Precious.
Yes, please. Good evening, welcome.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to add and contribute to your program.
Thank you. You didn't tell us your name and where you're calling from, but just go ahead.
My name is Olu. I'm calling from Canada.
You're welcome, Mr. Olu. How are billboard? I hope people are taking care of our billboards there. So go ahead.
So I want to. I'm really disappointed in David. You know,
can we leave David alone and speak to what he said and what aspect you perhaps may not agree with him, please?
He's somebody that I followed for a long time, you know. And then those of us who are here are even kind of not happy that he was forced out of the country in the manner that he was forced because of the kind of work he did, you know. But for him to have come to the conclusion that he did tonight about what is going on in Nigeria in that space is very, very, I mean, it's kind of his conclusion is kind of alarming. I mean, I want to say, Mr. I've been watching and I see that, Mr. Frank. I just want to say, I mean, I'm sorry that you had to go through all of this. You understand the insults and you have to put up with all the insults, and I can see all through your face that you're even almost in tears. And now you were able to hold and put yourself together, you know, despite everything going on back there in Benue, and for you to realize it. I mean, it's just unfortunate that there are so many issues going on back home in Nigeria, and we can't just arrive at the conclusion that it is the people, CIA, and that are the. I mean, fine, they are trying to influence. They're trying to influence what goes on there to take our resources, but we ourselves are the main problem. We ourselves, we the people. When criminals are in power, you understand, this is what happens. There's no rule of law. There's no, and I mean, I'm just lost for what that David could come to that conclusion that he came to. But I would just say that we should continue to do the good job you're doing, Precious.
Thank you.
Many problems and hopefully someday we can get it right.
Thank you.
And when David is saying that he seems to have what is wrong with Frank having financial interest in his own land? Anyway, in trying to explore resources there. You understand? There's nothing wrong.
But Frank, do you? Mr. Frank, do you please?
Even if he's in partisan politics, what we are saying is that there's a good.
Okay, so you ask me, do I? Really? You see, maybe we were not. Maybe we didn't follow what I said earlier, because I said I committed my life.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Precious. I said this earlier. I said I committed the last 15 years of my life to this struggle, and everybody.
No, I just wanted to for clarity. Do you have any national interest or economic interest in?
No, never. Just the protection of our land and the defense.
To ask the question, you know, exactly. That the organization has interest in these things going on.
No way, and
they directly have any interest because
exactly. And you know, there are hundreds and thousands of charity organizations all over the world. We have the Red Cross, the Red Crescent. They may not necessarily need anything from where they are supporting, isn't it? Even in Nigeria, you have many of these non-profits who are committed to providing relief, to providing support to those in need. That is what equipping the persecuted is. We have stood as the bridge for these persecuted Christians. Because before now, let me tell you, the IDP camps in Benue, who doesn't go there? And when David is talking about, look, I told you my mom is a Muslim, right?
Yes.
If you look at the 5 pillars of Islam, number 1 is Shahada. That's the declaration of faith, where you say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There's no God but Allah, Muhammad is his prophet. Number 2 is Hajj. You, within your lifetime, should endeavor to go to Hajj. Number 3 is the 5 prayers. You know, the prayer 5 times. Number 4 is Ramadan. You must observe the Ramadan, we just finished. And then number 5 is Zakat, alms giving. Now, in the history of Benue, there's no single, you see, it's a pillar of Islam. Zakat, to give alms. In the history of Benue IDP and Plateau IDP and Nasarawa IDP, there's no single Muslim group that is going to give alms in that. The IDP camps are the people in need more than anybody. The people in the IDP camp. Do you understand?
Oh, so you're
But they
saying
can
that
give,
there is no arms giving at all,
yes,
or
yes,
even
because you know,
charitable act
no,
at all
from Islamic bodies,
From Islamic
yes,
bodies to
there's none
IDP camps.
whatsoever from any Murik, Jamaat Nasser Islam of Nigeria, or Sokoto Caliphate, or this Emirate, or Muslim Student Society, or none whatsoever. We have 1.4 million people in the IDP camp in Benue. We have hundreds of thousands in Nasarawa, same in Plateau and Southern Kaduna. No single one. Meanwhile, arms giving is one of the pillars, one of the 5 pillars. So which people require arms now? Now that equipping the persecuted has stood up to do what ordinary Islamists were supposed to do by obliging to their 5 pillars and not doing, then you are calling us agents of imperialists. You know, it's so lack of empathy, so callous. And you know, the good thing here is that I'm not speaking as a Nigerian in the US who is concerned about what's happening in Nigeria, about this killing. I'm speaking first and foremost as a survivor, as a witness.
All right, thank you. Let's quickly go back to our call. We have a lot of calls. So you have to be patient with us. One person don't go. Maybe yourself no leave and they no vex. We could take their calls. Hello, good evening, Daniel, and welcome. Very quickly, go straight to your question. Daniel, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes,
Sorry.
go straight to your question, please.
Yes, I really want to appreciate Mr. Utor for being so patient and having that calm, just attitude and everything about the whole thing. Again, I understand where David is coming from, but he's really getting it wrong on the side of Mr. Utor. Because in Maiduguri here, I know what is happening when it comes to especially this IDP camp. It's a big business. It's a big business. There's blood money in it,
Of course.
And it's massive. Now, there are more Christians in the Middle Belt Plateau than in the north here, but there are more Muslims in IDP camps than in the north compared to all those other places within the Middle Belt. Again, I want to tell you 100% facts of investigation to a point that sometimes you watch what some of these helicopters are doing in the north here. I've had opportunity to meet or even hold some of these mineral resources in my own hands. I'm telling you for the fact that some of these things are being transported to Cameroon before it's being shipped to France. And there are a lot of big politicians, big names that are involved in it. Something happened last year in which they happened to punish the entire drug office in that Gamborungala road. They punished the entire drug office because of what? They stopped a particular vehicle in which happened to be almost among the most big men. When you talk about, you start counting from up down. They happened to stop the car, but every officers within that office have to go and report.
You go, they help me, they hurry up. You know, some people down the line to talk to you. They hear the phone, the beep. So go ahead.
So what I'm trying to say is this. Mr. Utor is doing a good job and he's innocent of some of all these things. But I'm telling you for the fact that when these people want to use you, because we have a lot of CIA people here, some of them are here in the name of this NGO.
So bottom line, are you that is you believe that all these things going on across Nigeria, not just purely work of Oyibo people to destabilize us so that they will mind the mineral?
It's not purely work of Oyibo people. They are taking advantage of some of all these things to make their money and make their country big. I'm telling you what we have seen and what we have investigated. Let me tell you this. If one thing you should know about the white people, whenever they see an opportunity, they already know that these people have the heart for jihad right from day one. They're only going to be there to fuel it in order to have opportunity to get what they want to get. Even if Nigeria should have a scenario whereby Nigeria want to break up, they will still think of a scenario in which it will benefit them. Even what is happening in Iran, they are not just there
wasting their aircraft, wasting their resources. They are there for a purpose to get what they want to get and let it be of advantage. I'm not supporting this government.
So are you of the opinion that all the religious organizations where they here, they know they here because they won't do charity for us, then they here because they won't gain something? And we see they try to talk like the equipping the persecuted and other people that they know they here to do charity. You need to speak straight to the points, make you know do corner, make we understand what you talk.
You speak to the point that you want to hear. All the religious and missionary people that are here, they are really doing the work. I'm telling you that 12 persons, sometimes there's a Judas in which they have planted there in order to do something. And even you, Precious, if they are here to manipulate you to achieve their aim, you will even know that.
Nobody figures me do anything at the interview, anybody and anywhere. Nobody, and I repeat, in case no, I need to take you on this so that if I have, make I not swear for anybody, I have not taken 50 kobo, a penny, not even recharge card from. I am coming. Let me, because so that narrative no go mistakenly they fly. I have not taken, and I will never take. And I'm doing this solely for you. In fact, I leave what I should do to give me money most times and make out because it takes a lot of energy to have to invite guests, to set up time. No, let me finish talking. So please, I am not making any financial benefit whatsoever from what I'm doing. It's for the love of humanity. And if you notice the question I asked David, I asked that for the sake of humanity, you know, things say, if you talk like this, now so people go think. So please, it hurts me. I'm a human being, for crying out loud. I have family members. Do you know how I feel if any of them die unnecessarily? Do you know that the state that Nigeria is right now is that anybody can die at any time? Anybody can be affected at any time. So you feel that I'm not human enough to be sorry. The other day, you saw me break down on this show when I interviewed somebody living in IDP camp who contacted hepatitis B because he had to become a medical doctor which without any medical background to deliver over 54 kids by himself. And in that process, he contacted hepatitis B. And this person may die of liver damage or whatever it is in future because his country happened to him. Do you know how it feels to hear all the stories every day? So please, I just thought I should just keep that off the way and let's go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. Let me just chip in. Let me just chip in briefly, Precious.
Just hold on, please. And John, please, David. Please, Daniel.
Yeah. You see, in my first reply,
Daniel, please just hold on. Daniel, please just hold on. Let Paris talk briefly.
In my first reply to David, I said bluntly that we cannot completely divorce conspiracies around some of these things.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I said it. I said we cannot completely divorce conspiracies around some of these things, you know. But I was very particular about we in the Middle Belt, we in Benue, we in Nasarawa, Southern Kaduna, Plateau. I was very particular. In Borno, we know, even the United States government here confessed. They say USID, this was what they were doing. Trump's government, to the extent that Trump has to stop funding them. Trump punished. This is global
because
news.
I was also going to state that there was a time that USID was indicted for sponsoring Boko Haram, and that's from the US. So I was going to ask all this question.
So the current Republican government stood up to say, this is what the Democrats were using. They were using USID to sponsor this. So you say that's part of the conspiracy theory. But when you say missionaries coming, and so because they are white, for goodness sake, the history of missionaries in Nigeria has transcended hundreds of years. We know what they've been doing. They gave you the churches you go. They gave you the clinics. They gave you the schools you attended. Okay, so the woman that came to Akwa Ibom, that woman that came, I was giving there's the picture where she was feeding that little baby. That baby was
the boy that was infected by HIV.
So Akwa Ibom is rich in oil. So did she come to exploit our oil? She came for missionary purposes and she went back and she was training the lady. The lady is quite grown right now. Did she come to explain? So we in equipping the persecuted, if you want to know more, go to equippingthepersecuted.org.
You got to pay me for that advert. Not be okay. I've been wanting to pay me for that. It's okay.
Precious.
And I am in for it.
Go to we are not advertising. We are non-profit. You see, no profit.
It's okay. Now make me come quiet.
We go to equippingthepersecuted.org. You see everything that we've been doing, and then go to Truth Nigeria. That's the media arm of Equipping the Persecuted. The same organization, Truth Nigeria. You see that it is feeding Nigerians information about this attack more than any organization in Nigeria.
I have also read. I've also played Jude's video here when he for the warning in the Benue in the plateau attack before it happened, and it happened.
Yeah.
Even
He talked about the plateau attack.
All right, so let me quickly let this young man land this thought. Let me quickly let him land this thought so that I can talk to more people. Not vex, so because plenty of people they will want to talk to you. Not vex. Oh, yeah, Daniel, finish your thoughts very quickly, I beg.
Please, sorry, you will not get me right. When I say you, I'm not referring to you like you.
I know, but you mentioned you now, so I had to respond to you.
Yes, I say you, precious.
So go ahead.
I'm just trying to in this situation whereby even if you want to use me, sometimes maybe what I believe and what I'm trying to do. That okay, this is what you believe in, follow it. I will not know in the way in which they want to bridge my head against another person. This is why we have to be very, very careful.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
This is what I'm just
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, so no, NS, you don't talk before. Make I let another person enter inside the studio. Chikezie, good evening and welcome. Good evening, welcome. Very quickly, let's hear you. Hurry up. Welcome, Chikezie. You're muted, so kindly unmute yourself so we can hear you. All right, so while you're preparing to do so, so go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Precious. I just want to make 5 points, actually. I'll start with number one. Number one is this. Liberals, I'm very sure I'm from Canada. I'm calling them from Canada. Liberals don't like intelligent discourse. That was one thing I've noticed. They run away from any intelligent discussion. And David had just proven that. He's a liberal. He ran away. He didn't want to stay and hear what other opinion have to say about this issue. And it's very, very saddening that David will conveniently tell us, that the barrister here is advocating because of the financial gain he's going to get from this. How about him? What is his what is his onion in this? Is he also doing it for financial gain? Who is paying him? Is Russia or China paying him? Because those are the things. If we must have to discuss this, we have to discuss this, everything, right? He can't tell me, he can't sit down and tell me that he has the best, the almighty knowledge about how all these things transpire, and no other person on this planet Earth has any divergent opinion to give in this issue. That to me is I don't know how to put it, but I don't want to curse anybody. Now, another thing, I noted it down because I don't want to forget anything. He conveniently mentioned Canada, US, Australia as part of the countries that are stealing resources from the North. Did you hear him mention Russia and China? Why is that not the case? Why did he not bring in Russia and China in that mix as well? Right? Because it's just because you are driving a narrative. You are driving a narrative, and that's number two. Now, another thing is this.
That may not be entirely true. Maybe he just kept his mind. You can't tell.
Okay, maybe that's the case. Another thing is this, Precious, my sister. How come that in every situation around the world, right, where we have, people wearing slippers to commit atrocities, that is only the Islamic, the radical Islamic arm? Why don't we have a radical Christian arm that also committing some atrocities in the north, committing atrocities in the south? Why is that not the case? Because if you are going to be asking intelligent questions, you have to, you have to inculcate all of these things. Why are we not getting this from the Christendom? Why is it that America conveniently sponsors radical Islamic terrorists, but cannot conveniently, with that same knowledge bank that they have in doing so, not do it with Christians also? It goes to show us that these people, whatever they are believing in, is already successful to all of these things. That's number three. Now, David wants us to look at the State Department documents. He talked about State Department documents and all the rest of them. And he wants us to think intelligently. Now, you are telling me that a document that was written supersedes eyewitness accounts. What we can see, if you go to IDP camps and we see that there are a lot of Christians more than Muslims, we should negate that fact and take a report that was written by an armchair theorist who got his information from hearsay. But no, Precious, how intelligent is that? How intelligent is that assertion? He constantly refers you to State Department documents, and you are telling him about some of the legwork that you have done. You have gone to IDP camps. You have noted that more Christians are in the IDP camp than Muslims are in the IDP camp, in in so many parts of the country, and he conveniently wants you to leave that. Now, whenever we hear about issues about killings and all the rest of them, now let's look at it. Let's just oppose it with what happens in the mosque versus what happens in the Christian churches or on Christian occasions in Nigeria. Which one has come constantly than the other? Is it not the Christian ones? Easter, Christmas, every other thing. So what are we saying here? Why can't we just be truthful to ourselves? If David wants to be a mullah, if he wants to support Iran, he can conveniently do that, but don't come and gaslight us into what we all know. It doesn't make sense. For crying out loud, it doesn't make sense.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, good evening and welcome. Good evening and welcome. Hello, sir, over the phone. Yes, you're welcome, sir.
Good evening. Yeah, good evening. Precious, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I've listened to David Hundeyin's narrative, and honestly, it's so painful. It's so painful.
But the idea is for us to have divergent views, so that we will make more informed decision by ourselves. So.
You don't deliberately. I used to hold David Hundeyin in high esteem. I mean, when I was forced to go and read his stories when I started seeing when he was pursuing some issues with the past election and all of that. I had to go and read about him, and I got to understand, the things that made him, become, antagonistic to, government systems and all of that. And I quite sympathized with him, and I agreed with his point of view. But lately, all of a sudden, I think there's, I don't know, I'm a Christian. There's this scripture that says too much knowledge is a vexation of the spirit. I don't know where David Hundeyin goes.
So people have the rights to be who they are and who they want to be. Yes, can we speak to the conversation and forget about the rest, please?
But I'm doing that because he's the one that spilled the conversation. There's no way I can talk about this without bringing him into it. First and foremost, when he's addressing Frank, he labels him and uses insultive words on him. That's not the way to, present your point of view. Look at when Frank responded. Look at the way he spoke with civility. That's with all of a sudden, David Hundeyin has become somebody so harsh. So. I mean, if you have an axe to grind with a system, you don't take it on everybody. I started disagreeing with David Hundeyin when one day he brought this young boy, what's his name, a very dark man. This poor boy went to the north when there was one killing in Jos. This boy went there, and there was a statement that David Hundeyin made against that guy. From that day, I just started looking. I said, okay, let me look at this guy again. Then today now he just concluded with all of these things that he has said. It is not even. I mean, we are all on ground in. I mean, we are in Nigeria. We've seen the level of these occurrences. How can you, even without statistics, how can you conclude that more Muslims have been killed than Christians? How can you say that? When you see that these people, when they go to kill, they make it clear to you that they are coming in the name of their Allah. What is the definition of genocide? When you kill these people, you kill them, and then you cite, you chant a religious incantation before killing them. And then by the time you take the numbers, you will see that these people, okay, tell me, the killings in Jos, what's the reason? Okay, what's the reason for it? What will David Hundeyin say is the reason for them killing those people in Jos? What's the people? Okay, even if let's assume that the people there are not Christians, why are you shouting Allah Akbar? I mean, let's call things in their actual name the way they are. And then David comes to, just like the other speaker said, to come and start gaslighting people. And I have checked, while he was discussing with you, I have checked all the data I checked here. I have not sat down to do, some verifiable, but on their face value, they made it clear that more Christians have been killed than for, I took a range of 4 years. And the statistics shows that more Christians have been killed over that 4 years.
Thank you, sir.
David get his own statistics from
Thank you, sir.
that he's using. And please let him know that in as much as he thinks that he knows so much, let him not be insulting people. when you're talking with people, you don't insult them. Because you keep saying Nigerians, yes, agreed. I agree with him in some points. That is concerning the issue of mining. There are different group of people that come to do that mining activity over there in the north. That's the fact. But at the end of the day, the people that are more on ground there are the Chinese. And then other interests come in. But these are things that are happening, and I agree with him that this is happening globally. But that is not, in fact, for example, sorry to even cut completely to this other issue. This boy, Frank, is from Benue State. Frank, the last time, Frank, you interviewed Frank, I listened. And the guy recounted how this thing happened in his village. And then you're coming to argue with him that he's not saying the truth. Now, Frank has come to explain his own role, how he came to start working with this soul that he's talking about. With me, he didn't even try to find out from Frank how he started working with the man. He just came up and started giving his own statistics, and he starts spewing his own. It's very annoying when a young man. I used to respect.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Everyone is entitled to what they want to do, but I appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
But honestly, it's painful.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Hello, good evening, and welcome. Welcome. Please go straight to the point. Good evening.
Okay. Yeah, good evening, Precious.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, a great job.
And I know go kill me today, but just go ahead.
You're really trying.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm calling you from the UK.
You're welcome.
Very important points.
Fast. Thank you.
Yes. I attended a long time ago. I attended a program, a training in Tokyo, Japan. One of the professors said something that is very, very profound. What did he say? He said, when we are making decisions, especially in third world nations, we reverse the trend. We should think globally and act locally. Globally, it is the fight for mineral resources. Locally, people need to be alive. But we are turning it upside down, and that is the problem. Christians in northern Nigeria are being slaughtered daily. The question is that what we need locally? People need to be alive before you talk about minerals. All we should advocate for is the end. We should try and talk about press and talk about the ban on open grazing. People are being killed, suppressed economically, killed everywhere. The question is to David that thinks globally. The fight for mineral, CIA, and all of those things. What about the lives of the people that live in that place? They don't want the minerals, they just want to be alive. Take the minerals and give us life. It is only when you are alive you can talk about minerals. Are there minerals in Gombe? Why are Christians being slaughtered? Is there mineral in Bauchi? Why are Christians being slaughtered? So the point is, let us advocate for the end and the total ban of open grazing. Any person that wants to be president, that should be his goal. The moment you end that, you reduce the kill by 80%. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let me bring people into the studio. I still have some calls on hold. TY Danjuma, good evening and welcome. TY, welcome. Oh, yeah, make all of on. I just talk sharp. TY, BG, welcome. I don't know you, BG. You're welcome.
Good evening.
James, you're welcome too. Good evening and welcome. So, make on. I just hold and make I talk to this already here. Hello, good evening and welcome. Hello. Yes, welcome. Good evening. Yes. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from? Go straight to the point.
Daniel, I'm calling from Lagos.
You're welcome, Daniel. Go ahead. Go ahead very quickly. But your voice is low. You did bedroom. Not 12 o'clock. So.
What he says that before these minerals, when this Boko Haram, all these terrorism came to Nigeria, there was no much talk about minerals. So I'm saying sorry, I don't know, I'm just feeling pressured, so don't be right.
Okay.
So I'll say most of all these things came with Islamist ideology.
Why?
To
Why it is an Islamic ideology cause waiting to happen?
Well, many of all these things, the weapons that came in, we will look at the data in the 2000s, the weapons that were smuggled into Nigeria and everything that were coming from countries that has all this extremist lifestyle. Like, you know, for Saudi Arabia, the way they get their own influence and all this Islamic country is by bringing in mosques, teaching them in their world, in their Islamic things and all those things. That is where they get their influence in other countries. That is what they do. They don't really do much in Africa. Their own influence is teaching them this the Islamist way. So they have extremists.
You should say this will not be another conspiracy theory now, but just land your thoughts quickly.
Okay. Now, my own perspective about this insecurity, I would say number one, it will be this extremist lifestyle. Because some of all these people, when they kill, they to show that the extremists, and I've watched some videos, see some things that have happened in the past, the killings that have happened, and they tell some people that they should change their faith. And I've had testimonies from some pastors telling that, saying that that happened when they told them to change their faith, and some of them were killed.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, Leah Sharibu, a practical example when they ask her to convert, she no agree, and then keep her there, but then release others. And then a typical example again, now the people that when they kidnap for Wurabi, which say they don't teach them Islamic knowledge, and now we see they try to make a help you talk and quick.
I'm saying something like that.
Okay, all right.
But I'm not saying that is the only thing that causes this thing.
Okay.
I will also go with the fact that minerals also causes it.
Okay, so now a combination of the two of them, now they cause them.
Yes, okay. I would say before crude oil was found in Nigeria had been exporting a large amount of gold. I think more than 10,000 kilograms. But now, lately, as at 2025, they said we exported 64 kilograms of gold. Like, how is it possible when we're exporting more than 10,000 kilograms?
Thank you, my brother. Another question I want to ask now, say why gold safe and all them columbite, all the lithium, all of them, why they know they captured for our budget the way oil they captured for our budget? And that now we see some people will also ask.
Yes. They also do that to lithium. They do that to other solid minerals that sells at a very high rate in the market.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Sorry, before you go,
I beg now. Hurry up.
If you look at the locations that has been displaced, you see that every location has a company that has been given a mining license. Recently today, I was just checking it out, like locations that people have been displaced, and I was checking different countries that have different companies that has mining license in those locations. So those things, I would say all these things is just a coordinated attack. It's something that is planned.
All right. Thank you.
Not something that is just done.
No,
because you cannot just mine. I thought that you were saying something.
I said no wahala. I said I hear you. Saying a coordinated attack. If you look at the names of people who get mining license.
Coordinated things by the elite, those ones that have power to do the things they do. Because now look at UAE. UAE has little no amount of gold, but UAE exportation of gold as of last year was 789 tons of gold. Okay, they said most of their goods comes from Africa. If you look at the record that Africa gave the normal record for gold exportation, is not compared to what UAE is saying they are getting their goods from Africa is. So if UAE said we are getting 200, if UAE said that they are getting 500 tons of goods from Africa, and Africa legal record is just 200, how is the other 300 coming from? Means all those ones are coming from illegal
mining. All right.
Gold exports.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I mean, person may not think we get specific market of Nigerian gold for Dubai itself. All right, see why don't you let me let you talk, because I know say I don't keep Frank Utor here since he just come back from work. The rush come here, so make I let him. So go ahead, please. Why don't you, BJ, are you there? James too. All right, go ahead. Make I hear one by one.
Good evening, Precious. Frank, good evening. Apologies for the way this thing went. It was an interesting discussion. But somehow he veered off to personal, to invectives and insults and foul language. Apologies. But let me. It's unfortunate that David left. He's not here. I'm not going to talk about him, but he has a right. You know, he's a guest. He has a right to his opinion. But as someone who has also seen genocide, I can relate to what you said and what Laura said. I think there were very, very insensitive comments that were made here. That was not compassionate. That was raw, uncouth, and I'll talk to Precious, about certain things that I observed, so that it won't happen again. But that said, I think it's oversimplification to say, to just narrow down the insurgency problems that we have and the killings and so on to just one source, namely imperialism, or if you like, economic imperialism, resource control and all that kind of stuff. Because it doesn't explain why we have Maitashine. You know, what was Maitashine? What was their interest? Was it economic? You know, this conflict has been on for a long time, for years. Just that it just snowballed now because we have an incompetent government that is unable to deal with this issue. That's why it's happening. But for me, I think that it's complex. No one reason can explain what is happening. In some areas, yes, you can identify one or two major issues, but generally, if you are speaking holistically, you just can't use one particular thing to explain what is happening. But I'm glad that you narrowed your own down to Benue. So, and that's what I want to speak about. You see, nobody can tell me the history of Asaba massacre when I witnessed it. I witnessed it. We witnessed my town people being killed and massacred. I passed through dead bodies. I saw people weeping. I mean, horrible thing that happened there. Even though I was a small child, I saw it myself. So nobody can tell me the story. At least for the things that I saw, nobody can tell me better. And no Igbo man can't tell me the story. So, and if you talk history and you're looking at sources, there's primary sources and there are secondary sources. Frank is the primary source because he saw these things himself. And you can't dismiss it. And for someone who has not gone to Yewata to see things for himself, you will be saying like the president, is the head of farmer crisis and so on and so forth. Because I'm sure that if the president went to Yewata and they showed him some of the remains of people and so on, I think his whole this thing would change. So even though we are entitled to our own views and opinions, and there are things that David said that I agree. Yes, are there foreign traces of foreign intervention and foreign influences there, and how they energize and help to cause so much confusion and chaos and so on, or to exploit from the confusion that we have? Yes, we can see it. But if it's solely just economic, what about other parts of the country where you have mining, the kind of thing that is going on there? Yes, there are issues that is going on there, but not in the magnitude that we see here. So and nobody mentioned, the Nigerian government in all this discussion. And that's the one that is even more nauseating to me. Because if you kept your house in order, this kind of nonsense would not be happening. So Frank,
the point is that at the point of course, I mean, we just had two sets of conversation. David's view, Mr. Utor's views, both rebuttal, and we're just going to take questions before things just went the way it went, because I still have quite a lot of questions to ask. And clearly, I didn't want those questions to just come from one aspect or one angle alone. I was going to ask a lot of questions, just like this, because I believe, if to say we do the things and we were supposed to do well, and if Nigerian government hold them own side well, outside the, and again, I'm sorry to say, you've heard me ask this question in this platform before. The people where they rule us, are they oblivious of all these things going on?
They know that's where the blame should go first of all.
So what role do they
How would you?
And some
How
will
would?
say, oh, they are all CIA agents and they are all playing according to the. So why you go there like
Why
this?
do we have
They
government?
will read people. Okay, now
Well,
appoint them.
how would you allow all these kind of
It's
people
really
to come
mischievous.
and be
And
riding
so
roughshots over Nigerians and be doing all kinds of things as if there's no government? This is a country now. It's not a jungle where you can go and might is right and do whatever you want, take what you want to take. No, this is a country and we have a government. So if the government is seeing this thing and pretending as if it's not happening, then they should get the blame. You know, so that's the first and foremost, because there are other countries that have resources and they have Muslims, they have Christians, they have, you know, all these ethnicities and so on. And these things are not happening. So why is this happening in our country? We have to be able to answer that basic question. It's not just saying foreigners. Yeah, foreigners have their part to play, but we allow them. We are the ones that energize them. So the blame should go to us first, because, like I said, you know, as you make your bed, so you lie on it. So, Frank, let me just say,
how about if it is because we've really not chosen our leaders? Somehow our leaders they decided by other countries. How about that?
Precious. You know, it's someone who is playing the devil's advocate that will say that your leaders decide who is the INEC chairman. Your leaders decide who goes, who is elected, you know, into the house, the states, the federal, and so on. Your leaders decide what kind of structure you operate. Your leaders decide your attitude to your people, to welfare, to governance. To your leaders decide, you know, all those things for you. Your leader decides the size of your budget and profligacy and corruption and all. I mean, foreigners. I mean, your foreigners decide all those things for you. You know, they decide all those things for you. Come on. I mean, we should take blame where we take, and we see all these things. You know, people denying that this is not happening. This is not happening. Should we be talking about? In any case, should we be talking about Christian, whether it's Christian or Muslim or so on? Is important, but shouldn't we be talking about human beings being killed and slaughtered like this thing? Isn't that nauseating? Does that speak well of us as a country? Shouldn't that be?
And I ask another question. How can we be a sovereign state? And like we saw what happened last week when the FCT police commissioner catch the TikToker where is false alarm over attacks, and we still get these criminals within our sovereignty. They commit this havoc. I will not fit hold them with the same mind. You see, these are the reasons why people think that it is motivated somehow. And you know, as I said earlier, there are lots of questions to still ask, so that it can help us narrow down the conversation. Why? I'm so sorry, Barrister Frank. Just help me hold your thoughts. Make I take BJ and one more or two more persons so that we'll release Barrister too. BJ, go ahead, please. Let's hear you. Black Gold. Black Gold, good evening. Are you there?
Oh, yes, Precious. I've even forgotten that, you know, I've been online with you. You don't want to put me online. I know say this is your Port Harcourt sister. You go say I don't come again, but you know, even when we did here, you know, Nigeria is you know, keeps bothering us because they're not doing things right. Number one, I was disappointed by David because when I saw you advertise, you know, him being online with you by 9:30 p.m. Though I'm at work, but you know, I thought I would get something reasonable from him. But I was disappointed.
Let's
because
understand that everyone is human and have right to their own.
Yes, no. We all I studied journalism too. I read mass communication as mass communication, not even journalism. So he would have known that little primary what will I say? Primary, how will I put it? That a journalist is supposed to have known, like the kind of news you disseminate when it comes to news about the dead. He aroused feelings. They taught us in school. He should know that as an investigative journalist. You know, you arouse feelings. The choice of words matters. I nearly got traumatized hearing from him the way he was unleashing fury on his, you know, counterpart. I wasn't happy about it. 3, Nigeria state has failed Nigerians. Nigeria is a failed state. Precious, I know you're a gatekeeper. You are trying to balance your news, but I have to tell you that Nigeria state has failed. And fourthly, Nigeria has history and they've taken it off the shelf. If not, some of us wouldn't have been doing all the, we're supposed to have known the history of Nigeria, how the jihadists came, how blah, 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 how the colonial master came in, amalgamated Nigeria. You find out that most of our forefathers were not on that round table. So a lot of things are going wrong. Nigeria state has failed. It's full of propaganda. Propaganda overwhelmed even the good news, the good story. If I was David, I would have kind of heard from eyewitness like Frank, because enough of these documents online. I've never seen David on site where these people are being killed. So, oh, I'm here and speaking for these people that have been killed. He just sat in his convenience, probably in Ghana. I mean, telling Nigerians stories. And we've grown. This is a millennium age. You can't tell us stories anymore. You understand? So we've passed that age, that stage. Our old leaders like Tinubu and co.
Thank you.
They told us lies. But now there's technology and everything. You can't tell Nigerian youth the lies. So please talk to David. When it comes to sensitive matters like this, Nigerians are very affectionate about their dead. You shouldn't just keep throwing words that way. That is it. Thank you. Let me go back to work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, Barrister Frank, I know that you need to run. So let me let you. I don't know if you will let Lazzy, are you there? Can you in 1 minute, 60 seconds if you can? Drop your thoughts in 60 seconds.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Just go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your good work. The most important part I just wanted to bring to your attention is this issue of Islamic Caliphate. You will agree with me that this person have an agenda they are pushing. Even before now, have you read Surah 9? Surah 9. Go and read Surah 9. Like this Quran, they have a special version, which is Surah 9. Their aim is to establish and kill the unbelievers. And if you did not convert or did not accept their faith, definitely you are part of them, the people they are going to honor life. Now, they expected maybe by now they wanted to come and start establishing their own religion across the world. Even here in the US, they have an agenda that Islam is going to enter every house. They said it. And that has been their mission.
Who said it?
Ask them, the Islamists. The Islamists. That is their agenda. Even I'm talking about America, like it's going to enter every house. And that is an agenda they are pushing. And Benue, which is the Middle Belt area, they have been a kind of fence, helping the southern part of the country, And once they are able to break those fences, the other part is gone. Remember, Nigeria is one of the largest black nations in the world. If they can capture Nigeria, Africa is gone. But they forget that what happened in Egypt, Lebanon, all those years, they are not technological world. Now, people are now exposed. That agenda will not work again. That is their problem they are facing. I remember 2 years ago, they wrote a letter across different states, even to some big men of God, some other people, that they have surrounded the bush. Even this Kīllīngs have not even worsened to this stage we are now. See, there is an agenda going on. These resources, whatever resources. Does Nigeria have resources? It pains me that even most people in the US, they are even complaining resources. Meanwhile, the human resources that is even more valuable, they are not even taking account into that. Many of us left our home, to come and stay in the Western world. You are talking about oil and all of that even your government are even stealing. But the same, I just want to let you know there is an agenda, but fortunately for them, they cannot achieve it. They were even hoping even the Iran were even going to help them. This were the kind of the leader, but they have been decimated. you find out that it's not going to work, and most of them are angry. But it's so unfortunate. I just want to thank everyone. But the most important is that we Nigeria must wake up. It's not just to talk about white men are coming for our resources, this and that. That is not the issue.
Thank you.
Human is even more resourceful than even the so-called good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very Uthor, let me quickly.
All right. Thank you for your time. And just like you mentioned,
before you go, I'd like to ask solution, because we cannot just all rant, and that's part of what I was also going to ask David. You know, I would have asked for his own solution to this whole issue and also yours, so that we can see how we can marry both and stop all this nonsense if our leaders go here. So since you know Darren, for your own part, I will ask you, what do you think should be the solution to all of this?
Okay, before I prefer the solution that I've always held, let me just say this. I want to thank you so much for this opportunity, because this opportunity was able to expose a lot of things, and quite a lot of people have seen us for who we are. That's just the truth. And then, secondly, I want to say, and I want to affirm and reaffirm vividly that there's an agenda that has been playing out all this while, and some of us are direct evidences and direct witnesses to this. Just like T.Y. Dejuma mentioned, the Asaba massacre. He was there. I was not there. I cannot just sit down here in my room in Oklahoma and begin to fabricate a conspiracy about what happened that period. He was there. He witnessed it. That is exactly the situation we found ourselves. When these jihadists came to kill our people, like the last June attack in my village, when they were lacerating the body of my cousin, David Ukema, after killing 3 of his children and his wife. You know, he has 4 children, 3 guys, 1 girl, and then his wife. They killed the 3 guys, the sons, and then they were him. So he escaped through the roof. And when they were lacerating his body, they were telling him, they say, Shegi Arna yo ranan kaya yakari. Shegi Arna, that's stupid infidel. Today, your days are numbered, stupid infidel. Today's your days are numbered. And they were chanting what unfortunately has become the globally recognized slogan and motto for jihadists. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. And I keep telling a lot of people, I say, okay, in Christendom, we have a similar phrase to Allah Akbar, complete meaning, the same meaning. If today you are in a park and somebody passed with jalabia and shouted Allah Akbar while holding back, you all run. You all run, because they've made it become the slogan for terrorists. But in Allah Akbar means God is great. In Christianity, we also have God is good. Rather, it is something that brings cheer. So when you say God is good, they will shout all the time. And all the time, God is good. Anywhere you shout God is good in Christianity, people respond with joy. But that is what it means in the same Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar, people will run. That is what they come every time, killing our people and telling us. And like I told you, we've had meeting with these people several times. They didn't tell us anything about resources. They told us about sharing our land. We are not allowing them. We've had, I have been in this meeting several times. I was in government, mind you. I was in government. So when I talk authoritatively and coming as somebody with facts. See, how many occasions these guys who have come to attack us that we arrested some, do you know the following day, and let me call them, when Erufai was president, governor of Kaduna, he influenced the release of many people in Benue State. Buhari influenced many. The same people that we arrested and have been transferred to police headquarters in Makodi, the same police will tell us that they've gotten a call that has overpowered our commissioner, got a call that is stronger than him. They've released those same guys. Those same Almajiri that they've been saying they cannot buy AK-47. For me, I found that argument so preposterous, because the soldiers with AK-47, can they buy AK-47? The private soldier, the corporal soldier with AK-47, they cannot buy. That is exactly what happened. The foot soldiers are there, being financed by, and again, we've come to this topic, by many people in government. That is why this problem has persisted, because a lot of the Islamists are in government. They are in the military, they are in politics, they are in the bureaucracy, and very importantly, in the traditional institutions, starting from the caliphate all the way to the Emirates. They are involved. You know, these are the people who release these guys every day. These are the people, look, if you go to Nasarawa State today, the Sultan always have an interest in who become a councillor. A councillor. Go ask anybody in Nasarawa State. A councillor in Doma local government, they will tell that this is the message for the caliphate. They have to choose a Muslim guy for this. The speaker. That's what I said. These are things that are very open, very clear, very concrete on ground. That it comes. A Christian was winning. My friend, the Mattis Ombugadu, was winning the governorship of Nassau State. He won in 2019 and 2023. The Mattis Ombugadu, my 1 year junior in Government College Kefi. He was leading. He beat in 2023 election the Christian, the PDP candidate David Emmanuel Ombugadu. He beat the governor of Nassau State, the sitting governor, in his council ward of Guti, and in his local government of Akwanga. That's the governor's local government, Akwanga, and his adopted local government anyway, because he came from Yobe State, and his council ward of Guti. He beat the deputy governor of the sitting deputy governor in his local government of Doma. He beat the chairman of APC of Nassau State that time in his local government of Obi. He beat all those guys only for that evening. That evening, because the presiding officer adjourned the collection and announcement of result when just one local government was left, and the Mattis Ombugadu was leading with the massive with his solid margin. Then they adjourned to the following day. They adjourned to the following day around 8 p.m. They adjourned to the following day to collect the last local government announced who has become the governor of Nassau State. Only for a private plane to land at the completed but not operational Lafayette Airport at that time, which today has been named Uthman Dan Fodio Airport. Uthman Dan Fodio had nothing to do with that. But today, you see, there's symbolism in the naming of that airport, Uthman Dan Fodio Airport. So, who were the occupants of this jet? A certain Erufai, a certain... they all kept that evening. Erufai was going to Kaduna. They all came that evening. And that was how this guy was hijacked. The returning officer, the VC of University of Jos, was taken to the Federal University, Lafayette, covered by the soldiers, and they announced midnight. That is somebody that's adjourned to the following day, 10 a.m. And they announced midnight because they believe that let's do it as we want, let them take us to court, and we'll know how to sort out ourselves. And then they brought out a result from 2 council wards in Lafayette to cover every disparity that the Mattis Ombugadu has given the governor. 2 council wards, two council wards alone were producing about 80,000. That is in a local government where the House of Assembly election of the whole Lafayette local government was not up to 20,000. And this election happened simultaneously, governorship and House of Assembly. But the entire vote of House of Assembly in Lafayette local government was not up to 20,000. But the broad vote of 2 council wards, Chiroma council ward and Gayam council ward, amounted to about 80,000. Why? Because the caliphate has always maintained strategic interest in Nasarawa State to serve as a landing pad to enter the other parts of Nigeria. And so they've been using Nasarawa State to attack Benue, using Nasarawa State to attack Southern Kaduna, using Nasarawa State to attack Plateau. And so they want to always hold on to Nasarawa State at all times. And like the last speaker spoke, he said the truth. We've been bearing the brunt because Benue is the buffer between Southern Nigeria and Northern Nigeria, where we in the middle belt, where we cover the rest of you. You could have been feeling this by now. But they had to penetrate us before they reach you. And so we're in the buffer. We're the belt that's held Nigeria together. And Benue is the buckle of that belt, is the head of that belt. And that is why there's so much priority on our state. And then somebody's talking about natural resources. Yeah, I know that to some extent, what is happening in Kwande shares local government with Taraba. Kwande axis of Nasarawa State, of Benue State. There's both economic interest and religious interest there, because there's mining going on somewhere there in Kwande local government, where the jihadists have not been reaching, but have been devastating other communities. But in my place, and all the local governments are pertinent to mine, Gwe West, Gwe local government, Makurdi local government, the entirety of my maternal home in Makurdi, my mom's village, has been taken over by these guys. These guys are occupying the little huts that my relatives left in that house. They've been occupying it. They've been using our stream. They brought children. Their children are crawling, and they are always sitting on the graves of my grandfather and my uncles. They broke the barrier to the railings around the grave. They're always sitting there and spreading some of their cones and all those things on the graves. They're occupying our own land. So is it natural resources?
Are you saying that you can no longer access that village? Your mother can no longer access that village?
See, look, my own paternal village, my own village, Yerota, is on the federal highway. That is why we're a little bit safe, because we're on the federal highway, starting from we're middle way between Makodi and Lafia. We're the midway, because we're just 51 kilometers to Makodi and then 50 kilometers, 49 kilometers to Lafia. So we're midway. But in the remote, 2 kilometers from Yerota on either side, you can't go. 2 kilometers. I'm not talking about 10 kilometers. From 2 kilometers, you can't go. They've taken over. So what mineral resources are they mining there? When they came to kill my cousin Osoja Ikpaka, whom I spoke with just 3 days before that attack, and he told me that my mom say you should come and treat her. He's a herbal in the villages, herbal medical traditional, and my mom was suffering a bit of a partial stroke at that point, so he always traveled to go and treat her where she is. So he told me that my mom say he should come on weekend, but weekend is Kasua, that is market day of Yerota. That's Saturday. They came on Friday, June 13th, and carried the killing of 278 of my kinsmen within 4 hours. They came on June 13th around 9 p.m. and ended around 1 a.m. on June 14th. So that June 14, 1 a.m., that's Saturday, was market day in Yerota, was to be market day. So this guy could not go to see my mom because he said he wants to sell something in the market and get some money before going. He'll be going on Monday. Only for them to come that day. I still have his pictures on my phone. All the pictures, the gruesome pictures I've been seeing of the Yerota massacre are people known to me one-on-one, people we talk every time. So I'm not one kind of US guy sitting and talking about his village. No, I'm a village guy. I'm a politician in Benue, in Nigeria. I'm a politician. With my strength from my community. So they slaughtered. Look at Osoja. Look at his picture in my phone. They slaughtered him, slit his stomach, then see Engineer, his 4-year-old son. Engineer, he named that guy because the guy always say he wants to be engineer when he grows up. 4-year-old guy. That dream has been quashed by bloodthirsty jihadists. They slaughtered the guy. See the picture in my phone. I can transfer to you. The boy just the slit neck. He just laid on his father's chest, and then the father was slaughtered. So what mineral were they looking for in that room when they did that to my cousin?
So the idea is the idea would be to perhaps make them uncomfortable so that they will run away from their village so that they can mine.
No, what we're saying is that we don't have mineral, and nobody has taken geological survey of any mineral around us. We don't have mineral. We don't have mineral. Nobody has taken that survey around us. They are, but the most important is that they've always told us what they were coming to do. The people arraigned in court right now, Federal High Court, Abuja, over the killing of Yerota. They don't say anything about mineral. They are talking about conquest. They understand? They don't talk anything about mineral.
So they mentioned conquest in courts.
Of course.
And judge listen to that thing.
Those were their confession. I was following everything right from their arrest. See, I provided to the IRT, International Intelligence Response Team of the Inspector General Police Office. I provided most of the names and the phone numbers. These are people we all know. When they say attack, it's not spirit. It's people. It's like secret cults in the university. Oh, these guys are black acts. These guys are. You know them. It is just their operation that is done in silence. In secret. So these people coming to kill us, we know them.
What can be the solution to this problem? Because we can't continue like this.
See, the solution is this. The biggest solution. We need to talk. We need to talk. There should be a referendum. Should we continue as a country? We need to talk because look, like Obafemi Awolowo said, Nigeria is a mere geographical expression. So it is a contraption put together by the British. Unlike the United States where I am right now, that was formed by agreement of the people when they sat in Philadelphia in 1787 in the Constitutional Conference and drew the blueprint for this country, agreed to form a union, a union under God. And they gave themselves, they adopted the Declaration of Independence drafted by a 27-year-old lawyer at that point, Thomas Jefferson, who in the second paragraph encapsulated what is happening in Nigeria when he says, we hold this truth to be self-evident that all men are created equal and they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what we need in our country. Right to life, liberty, you are free. You can impose Sharia, you are free, and then the pursuit of happiness. And so, precious, like I say, first of all, we need to talk so that if you say you want to form a caliphate, you want Sharia, then I'll tell you I don't like Sharia. At that point, we disagree. Then we can agree. We can now ask ourselves: can we continue? Can you form your own so that you can impose whatever Islamic laws you need? Then let me go my own way. That is first of all, and that is most important. I used to be one of the advocates of the unity of Nigeria is non-negotiable, but it's negotiable. We need to talk because lives are going. People are dying every day. Look, 50% of the people I knew while growing up in Yelwata are no more. They are no more not due to natural death, natural causes. They are no more because Islamists have come and slaughtered them. 50%. 50% of the young men, my peers, 50, that is half the number of my peers that I knew in Yelwata. My cousins, my siblings, my friends, my neighbors, that I knew while growing up, 50% are no more alive. They are dead, not through natural causes. Fulani, killing. So we need to tell. Then number two, the president needs to be decisive. He knows these people. They are in his government. He knows these people. The sponsors of this jihad, he knows them all the way to the caliphate. He knows these people. But the president is more interested in his tenure in office. And he's coming back.
The president is aware, because I don't know if you heard by Ononoga's reaction to a BBC interview. He was referring to the people who caused the chaos that happened in, the killing in Plateau State just recently in Aguarokoba. He called them troublemakers, and that's the spokesperson to the president.
Okay,
and then you heard what the president
listen.
Stammer when he said climate change and all that. So are you sure they really know?
Okay, so that is the narrative. That is the narrative they are selling. Climate change. You don't have your state. You have your state, Sokoto, and you say climate change. Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, last year at the United Nations in New York, she said Italy was able to intervene in the problem caused by climate change in Algeria by reclaiming 450,000 hectares for vegetation. You have problem. Call some of this. We call Italy if desert is encroaching your land and you need vegetation to graze. Do you understand? Italy have done it for Algeria, which is almost a desert. Okay, you say climate change, and you want to come to Benue. Then we told you, we say in Benue we have a law called Open Grazing Prohibition and Ranches Establishment Law. Establish ranch. Come to Frank. I have big land in Yerota. Come you as a Fulani, say you want a ranch. I'll give you a land, lease. You fence your land, you graze your cattle. But they wanted more than this. Do you understand? Because what is the AK-47 that the Dave himself has said is expensive? Good and fine. One goes up for about 3 million. When you use the money to buy 10 AK-47, you get good ranch. Land in Yerota will not cost more than 2 million for you to get a big land. Fencing, that's all. Do you understand? They came to Yerota with over 100 AK-47. 10 AK-47 will go for about 30 million. We give you a good ranch. So it's no problem of grazing. We've established that. Because the governor of a state has control over land by our laws, Land Use Act, that the land belongs to the people, held in trust by the government, by the governor of the state. So we made a law in accordance to the Land Use Act that gave us the right to our land and the governor. Meanwhile, they tested that law. They went to Federal High Court, Abuja, to challenge the law. The Federal High Court held that the law is valid. It's valid. Go and obey. But you see, it's not about the law. It is about expansionism. Expansionism of the faith. And that's why they come killing you. And thank God, Precious, you mentioned the terrorists in Woro. Did they not convert all those Christians? They converted them. They were asking them to recite the Shahada, They were asking them all the things they've taught them the last 1 week. So what do you call that? Why is Leah Sharibu still held back? When they brought over 200 years from Dapchi, they returned them and then took Leah Sharibu back because of her faith. So what do you call that?
All right.
I watched a video.
So two things.
I watched a video.
Okay.
I watched a video again of the kidnapped victims of Ngoshi in Borno. 2 days ago, I watched a video where the terrorists gathered. There were over 300 women, and you must have watched that video. What were they saying?
400 and something women.
Thank you. What were they saying in Hausa? They said they are doing this thing for Adini, in the promotion of Adini. That's our religion. We are this thing in the promotion of our religion. Because this is what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us to do. You know, so what do you call that? You are seeing concrete facts, but you are trying to build a warped narrative around it. And finally, look, I think Nigerian Christians, what they really owe equipping the persecuted is gratitude, is thanks. What they owe Judge Saul, that David has been insulted. I'm a witness to how many times Judge Saul has stood in the Congress to accuse American Congress, to accuse some congressmen of dancing to the whims of the Islamists in Nigeria. When the Nigerian government paid off the DCI lobby group with 9 million for a 1 year contract.
6 months. It's a 6 month contract.
It's a 9 month contract. It's a 1 year. You are subject to 4.5 for the first 6 months and 4.5 for the second 6 months. You know, the first person that took up that matter is Judge Saul in the Congress, and there he was blasting American congressmen who were part of those guys that the DCI lobby group is lobbying. He had held briefings in Congress within December and January 2 times in the Congress of the United States. And that is the man that this David is coming to say the guy is exploiting Nigeria, is just trying to come, is an agent of the imperialist, trying to get some mineral resources from Nigeria. I think we can do better. We can do better. It is a truism that we know that there are true missionaries operating all around the world. That one cannot be debunked. It's a truth. And then Judge Saul is one of the most sincere missionaries who has been doing this long before now. Like I said, he first came to Nigeria in 2011 with his dad, with his grandfather, and came again with his grandfather, and later started coming because he saw the problem, and started doing what he's doing now with equipping the persecuted. You'd say, okay, he's exploring this thing, so but why is he using Truth Nigeria to be giving alerts for where they are going to attack?
Yes, and when he gives, there's barely any action until that attack happens.
Yes, so he has been alerting.
Most times,
he has been alerting.
Most of the videos they put recently, are they play and
thank you. So what kind of agent is that?
When Nigerian government talk.
So what kind of foreign agent is that? That he is the person, not Nigerian government, not even any group in Nigeria, that has been giving terror alerts. This place, they are moving from here to here because we are getting all the. Like I told you, this is no secret. These people gather like me. Anything that is happening around that axis.
How is it that Judge Saul rather can get this information and the Nigerian government and intelligence?
Because we have the people on ground in those communities. Do you understand? Yes, we have the people in those communities. See, my phone is full of those people. For instance, in those communities, you could see the videos, the pictures, everything. You know, it's citizen report. Report yourself. Report what you are seeing.
So why are they not reporting to the Nigerian government? That's the point.
They've all ignored it. Look, Yerota attack. Did we not report to Nigerian government? 5 days to the attack. Yerota massacre of June 13, 14, 2025. We reported to the government. They are coming. Even that night that they are coming, we told them that they are in Giza. And they are within Kadorko. The soldiers were just eating maize. They are just eating maize. You know, did nothing. Then our boys, were the ones who now got ready to tackle them. Our boys were laying ambush, waiting for their arrival that night. But then it started to rain. So we thought that the mission was aborted because it rained heavily. So our guys went back to their homes. That is when these jihadists came. So now, that is part of the conspiracy we talk about the Nigerian government, because in no place in Benue or Plateau will you ever see the military show you one body of Fulani terrorists they've killed. The way they do show you easily in Borno, because it's happening, it's affecting Christians and Muslims. But in places where it's affecting strictly Christians, they will never show. Have you ever seen where they showed display, oh, see these terrorists, we neutralize about 3 of them in Benue or in Plateau? Have you ever seen? Never. Because there's complicity. And I'm a concrete witness to this complicity. The soldiers in Yerwata have told me several times. Many of them are Hausa-speaking soldiers, but not Fulanis. They always told me, look, Honorable, look, Barrister, this is what is happening. They told us the purview of our order is that when they come, we shouldn't attack them. We should just shoot in the air to show where we are. We shouldn't, believe me, that is what we shouldn't attack them.
So don't attack.
We should just, they don't repel them. Look, the only soldier, and today I'll call his name clearly, the only soldier that has ever repelled those guys, Staff Sergeant Kingsley Oludare, in Yerwata in 2022. When they came, they killed about 9 of our people. So Staff Sergeant Kingsley Oludare joined with our boys. They formed a sort of civilian military joint task force. They repelled those guys and they neutralized 13 of those guys. I came to my community the following day, first thing in the morning. I saw the bodies. Out of these 13, 3 were having ID cards of Nigerian army, serving soldiers of Fulani ethnic stock. 3 of those guys, ID cards in their pocket. I took the matter. I went and met Colonel Hemba, retired, the security advisor to Governor Otom at that time. Me and Colonel Hemba went to 72 Special Forces Battalion in Makodi, the headquarters of 72, to meet the commander to say, look at what we found. Some of the soldiers who reported. But you know what Staff Sergeant Kingsley did in Yerwata? If it were in the United States, they would give him accolade, they would give him stars, they would give him stars, they would give him serious accolade. But what happened was that because he went outside his purview by repelling those guys, the next day, as early as 10 a.m., they recalled him from Yerwata. Instead of thanking him and strengthening him for repelling those guys and neutralizing some of them, as early as 10 a.m., they recalled Staff Sergeant Kingsley back. They recalled him that, bros, you have gone above, beyond your purview, beyond your designation in that place. And finally, let me also mention another incident just last year, May 29th, of complicity. May 29th, they came to my community. That's just barely 2 weeks before they came to carry out that massacre of killing 278. On May 28th, a day to second anniversary of both Governor Ali and Tinubu in office, they came and killed my late father's closest friend in the village, a retired army corporal, Ulam. That's his name. Killed his 2 children that were sleeping around just 9 p.m., and killed his neighbor, 2 of his neighbors, that's 5 people, and lacerated his wife, leaving her for dead, thinking she was dead, you know? That was in the night of March 28th. The following morning in Ude, that is the name of our ward headquarters. It's a remote area about 6 kilometers from Yerwata. One thief woman was going to fetch firewood. She now saw a Fulani guy who squatted and was trying to fix a bike. Number one, there's no Fulani settlement close to us. And at this time where our people are not at home, if you see a Fulani man in the bush as deep as that, that is a ground for suspicion. Do you understand? She saw him trying to fix a bike, and then she saw splashes of blood all over his body and on the bike. So she went and reported to the youth in the community. So the youth came, arrested the guy, accosted him. And after drilling, the guy confessed that they carried out the attack of last night in Yerwata and killed about 6 people. And that he is coming back to return this bike. That the bike was given to him by a soldier in that Ude, because that Ude, which is my old headquarters, also have a detachment of soldiers stationed at the Baptist primary school in Ude. So that he was coming to return the bike. They received it from a Fulani soldier known as Suleiman. Ask anybody, ask, these are facts on ground. A Fulani soldier known as Suleiman. So the youth went with the Fulani guy they arrested to accost the soldier. That the soldier was so angry that he even shot at one of the youth. But the youth said they have to kill all of them. And that is where the commander waded into the matter. On asking Suleiman, why was your bike with it? These are the bikes, the same bikes that government give these guys for logistical purpose. You have given to a Fulani guy to go and carry out the operation. When they asked him, his response, he said he gave out the bike yesterday because the guy came to meet him. How? There are no Fulanis there. But he came to meet him to say one of his brothers was beaten by a snake. And he was finding ways to take him to hospital. That was why he released the bike. Have you ever released your bike to any thief guy, the owners of the community? Is the bike used for that, transporting people for snake? But okay, let's assume that yes, it's true. Let's assume without considering that there was something like, okay, where is the guy who was beaten by the snake? Where is the hospital? Nobody could answer. Where is the guy? Nobody could answer. Where is the hospital? Nobody. And that was how they transferred South Sergeant Kingsley, they transferred that Private Suleiman to the Makudi headquarters, 72 forces, headed by another Fulani man. You see, those guys are so strategic. Headed by another Fulani man. And that was how the matter died a natural death. And 2 weeks later, that massacre happened in Yerota. So that is the reality of what we're facing. It's a targeted, systematic killing of our people for the sake of expansion, occupation, domination, and the domination of a creed, imposing a creed on the people. That is the reality.
So Barrister Utor, you mentioned two things now. You said, first of all, when I asked you for solution, first, number one, you say we're going to need to have a talk, negotiation on how we won't use live together for Nigeria so that this kind of thing goes on. And secondly, you mentioned that leaders, but how all these things will use help?
Yes, so now Tinubu knows them. They should arrest them. They should arrest all the leaders, the sponsors. They should arrest the head, the sponsors. The sponsors, they start from the caliphate all the way to those in his government. And let me tell you, by their expressions and their conduct, many of the leaders, the people who gave these guys powers to have AK-47 and operate in Kwara State, when these Fulani terrorists were arrested and they said that their AK-47 was given to them with the permission of the National Security Advisor's Office, the people who describe them as prodigal sons, as our brothers, yes, because how can you even bring the analogy of the prodigal son who only wasted his father's estate? You talk about people who killed soldiers and civilians, and then you are calling the prodigal son. The analogy of the prodigal son whose only offense was that he wasted his father's estate, went to live a lavish life, and came back to repent. And then you are comparing that kind of situation with people who went all out, killing civilians in numbers, slaughtering them, kidnapping them, raising money. And then I even remember they brought the issue of the Almajiros having AK-47. Have you forgotten how they were raising money? Because they used the terrorism in the Northwest to raise money. They kidnapped, by the statistics from National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, between 2023 and 2024, they raised 3.3 trillion naira. Go and check it. Paid in ransom. 3.3 trillion naira in 1 year. That is about $2 billion. Even in America, that's huge money. So why would they not have this? When they are segmented, they have a department of kidnapping. They kidnap, they raise, you put a poor family that cannot raise 100,000 to go and raise 10 million. And within a year, they raise 3.3 trillion naira. Because they are segmented, they are structured like the military. This is a department for this is the department for that. These guys are handling this, these guys are handling that. And the operational command, it cascades from Sokoto downward. The operational command, because there's a hierarchy, it goes all the way to that land. That is, I'm telling you what we know, what is on ground. We face this thing with people that have always been intervening for them. Anytime we have a meeting or anytime there's arrest, we know the people who free them. Who free them? So why are we lying to ourselves? So Tinubu has to take up that political will to go after the sponsors. Not all these names, one of kind of funny names that they release these days, they will just call one and say Sadiq Mohammed or Ismail Bali, that we don't know that say they are releasing list of terrorist sponsors. Not those names. You understand? Just like Sani Abacha said, he said, any insurgency that lasts more than 24 hours, it means the government has a hand in it. Nigeria's president, I keep telling them here in the United States, Nigerian president is more powerful than the president of the United States. Because United States president is just powerful because of the military, the strength of America's military and the scale of America's wealth. But Nigerian president does what American president cannot do. He controls the judiciary. Yeah, American president cannot control the judiciary.
So you think Nigeria's president is more powerful than America's president?
Because Nigerian president controls Nigerian judiciary. American president cannot do that. Nigerian president controls.
The judiciary is independent now.
In theory. In theory. Yes, I'm a lawyer and I'm saying this very hugely. In theory. Nigeria's president controls the National Assembly. American president cannot control the Congress like that. Do you understand? He cannot control the Congress like that. Nigerian president controls the entire governors of Nigeria. American president cannot control the governor of Oklahoma, even though a Republican, has been having problem with Trump. Kevin Stitt. But Nigerian president put all the governors of Nigeria together in a federation.
Oh dear. I think okay.
Nigerian president control all of them. It does not happen in the United States. So that is how powerful the Nigerian president is. So he's powerful enough to stop this. To stop this, but for political interest. That is where the problem is. But for political interest. Because the people committing this are also giving him concessions. You cannot put your mouth in this. You cannot put your mouth in that. That is the truth. They're also giving these concessions. You cannot put, these are open truth. Now we're all involved in politics. We talk to these people. No, we told the president cannot do that. Do you know that they will sit down and slice and dice the state into pieces and say, we are giving these people this state, we are giving these people this state. Just the way they sit down and slice and dice all the states and say, no, we'll give this party to have this one. Let that party have this one. If the matter will go to court, even all the way to Supreme Court, they'll say, the president will intervene so that let them have this one in the Supreme Court. Let them give them judgment. That is how the slice and dice, let's have this territory. Let's have that territory. So Southern Kaduna is almost gone. They've converted many of the Christian territories into emirates. Look at Adara in Kajuru local government. It's an emirate. After they killed the Agom Adara, then Erufai now imposed an emir on that Christian community. Look at in Nasarawa State. Look at in Nasarawa State. They brought this guy who is from Yobe, whose father, not even third generation, only his father came from Yobe as a railway worker in Gudi. The current governor, Sule, Abdullah Sule. His father, it's not from Nasarawa State. But they imposed him. And what did he do? Gudi, his acclaimed town, Gudi, is a Mada town, Mada ethnic group. They've been using Chumada, that's the leader of the traditional law of the Mada people, Chumada. But now, he has turned Gudi to emirate. To emirate, emir of Gudi. And his father is the emir. They've converted many of these chiefdoms in Nasarawa State to emirates. Do you understand? So what other evidence do you need? When these guys are capturing Christian villages and turning them and putting traditional rulers. Look at Tangale in southern Gombe. Tangale, a completely Christian community. They voted, when the chief Paramo ruler died, they brought in one of their sons, a doctor from UK, Sierra Leone, is in Sierra Leone currently, and they voted him en masse to be the next traditional ruler. The government stopped that. They went and brought an Islamist, an Izala. That's one of these radical sects in Islam. And Izala appointed him, and right now, the guy has changed the flag of the Tangale nation to the crescent. Crescent. The Islamic symbol. So we're seeing this thing, we're saying, oh, it's natural resources. It's natural resources. What natural resources do they have in Tangele, in Biliri, local government of Gombe? That they've changed the paramount ruler is now carrying a flag of crescent. That's the flag right now in his palace. The one they imposed, the government. So we are seeing this reality and we are running away from it. But some of us, like I said, we've known so much, so well that nobody can be able to confuse us. Any attempt will just fall on deaf ears because you actually don't know. Because, sorry, my brother there was exhibiting so much ignorance of the situation. And you see, he exemplified it when he was telling me about me. See me sitting. You say I went to secure incentive from equipping the persecuted. That they brought me so that they were giving me incentive. Meanwhile, I got a job. I just finished in December. In December 2025, I graduated from the University of Central Oklahoma with a GPA of 3.82. That's first class, ordinarily. You know, with a master's degree in public policy and non-profit. Why did I come to study non-profit? I keep asking. When I'm a barrister, when ordinarily I should have read masters in law. But it's because of this. And when I finished, I got a work case manager with Christian Catholic Charities, which is $45 an hour. Catholic Charities. But the entire thing Catholic Charities is doing in Oklahoma is within the homeless around Oklahoma. It wouldn't have helped my people. I would just be going to work from morning to evening and just getting salary at the end of the day. No intervention for my people. I got another this with Peru mission. That one will be committing yourself to Peru. When we have problem, I'm going for charity in Peru. Does that make sense? So I was one who approached equipping the persecuted. They didn't even reach out to me. I said, I want to work with you guys. I want to work with you guys because of what you are doing in Africa, in my place. And within these 3 months, I've started working with them. I brought in so much of relief materials to Benue State, to communities in Benue. And right now we're building a memorial, equipping the persecutors is building the Yerwaka Genocide Memorial. The first of its kind anywhere in Benue State. Genocide Memorial in Benue, and then you are accusing, you are saying incentive. You know? So these are the issues, my sister. Let's tell ourselves the truth. People, blood is being spilled. We are walking on sand that is really saturated with blood of innocent people. They've gone. They cannot speak for themselves. We, the living, should be able to speak for themselves, and we should be able to stand on truth. You know, and God so kind, I say, this is where I've committed my entire life to. I'll continue to stand on this issue until we have the solution. I won't do anything. I'm not going to low practice. I'm not going to any. I'm going to commit my entire life, and that was what I did 2 weeks ago at CPAC in Dallas, Texas. That's the Conservative Political Action Conference, the biggest summit of the Republican Party or the conservative movement in the United States. I was invited to speak as a keynote speaker at CPAC. I think I went into the history books as like the first Nigerian to address, that's a real Nigerian, not Nigerian American, I don't know if it is, but the first Nigerian to address the CPAC, where you have many other presidents, you have the Crown Prince of Iran, you have all the senators, and I addressed CPAC, you know, on religious freedom, and I spoke about, you know, so those are the things we sell. And then the young guy went to fetch some of the video, some of the pictures. I posted all the pictures he was talking about, and I saw it on his site. He fetched from my Facebook. My Facebook is public. I did not restrict my Facebook to friends or friends of friends. It's public. And I published all those things. He went and fetched pictures from my Facebook where at CPAC, I was sitting with Sarah McKean, Donald Trump's advisor on international religious freedom, who was responsible for the first designation of Nigeria as a CPC during Trump's first tenure. You know, right now she's just a filmmaker and this thing, you know. So we spoke, we're on the same panel. So we sat together, me, Sarah McKean, Sean Nelson of ADF, International Council to ADF, has been fighting against the religious persecution for so long. And then Kyle Apt, who will be equipping the persecuted. Kyle Apt is like a semi-Benue guy. He has been in Benue for about 10 years. 10 years. His children went to Benue, lived in Jos. They were doing missionary activities Today, he's the advocacy director of Equipping the Persecuted. Then this young man fetched those pictures and say, and he was talking about apps. When a viewer doesn't understand, he will think that the guy has researched so much. No, he fetched them from my Facebook, and I tagged them with their names and their designation. And he's talking as if he knows them so well. You know, everything he said, he fetched from my Facebook. He fetched the picture of me and George Saw all on my Facebook. But he will tell you research and data. Meanwhile, they're on my Facebook, a public forum. You know, so it's so fortunate that we're dancing over the graves of my people. And many of the Christians killed in Nasarawa, in Kaduna, in Plateau.
Permit me to sincerely apologize. I brought you here, so I apologize for any hurts you feel, towards what happened. It's not my intention to bring you to something that bring you to public reproach or such insult. You know that I would never do that to anybody at all. And my intention is not for two of you to fall out. I don't do what I do here to gather views, else I would have been very sensational and I'll be lying. A lot of YouTube platforms have lies. They just put lie headlines, false news. Oh, INEC chairman has resigned. Oh, Tinubu has died, God forbid. They just put just to make views. I am not here for the views. I am just here to educate Nigerians. That's what I do. So that's why whether the views come or it doesn't come, it's not my business. My purpose is because we find it difficult to have these conversations, maybe because of the language of presentation, make I break and down so that we'll know, say, politics and governance is shaping our lives. So make we learn. So I am sorry that this happened. Please, I appreciate you. And I appreciate David all the same for also being here. I appreciate you guys. It's not easy to give me almost 2-3 hours of your time. I mean, that's a lot of time. Just for $45.
Yeah, for the sake of our people, we can.
That's almost time.
But I have to go now.
Even if I get that, I'm going to pay you.
Because I came without eating.
A lot of money. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Wishing you all the best. And hoping that we can also talk more with you, your team.
Anytime available. So that the data itself. Look, Precious, when you talk of data is sourced from somewhere, right? So we're the source of all this data. So when you talk of data, we're the primary source. Data now rely on us. So I'm data on this issue. I'm there 24 hours for you anytime you want to discuss this issue of the Christian genocide.
Thank you.
We're the data itself. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Good night and God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but you too.
Thank you so much. Hey, Nigerians, people should spare me now. Let me not take more calls now. I am tired, but I have somebody in my backyard so that go like say I don't fair. William, so what do you want to say? Oh, let Mr. Williams, sir. Can I just let you say 1 minute before I run? Meanwhile, have you guys been sharing this post? Make gonna share it now. Share it now. Share it. Do you want me to bring in Docking wine for you before you share it? Oh yeah, share it now. Like, share it. Make people get information. Cut, share for your WhatsApp. Share for your group. Then cut them. A lot of content creators on YouTube use my content and I don't get to hold them. Why I go hold them? Consign me. I'm not one of those who will go and report a page or, do one thing to a page because you share my content. Because the reason I'm doing this is for the purpose of giving out information. So please share and like. I appreciate you guys. All right. Mr. Williams, Amuga, are you there? You don't leave us this snow. Mr. Williams, you there? Good night. All right, Nigerians, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone for your patience, for being here for 3 hours plus, almost 3.5 hours of being having this conversation in such a long time. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you for your time, your commitment to this platform, your comments, your love, your share. For those who didn't insult us briefly too, I appreciate all of you now for the slight, sprinkle of insults. It's okay, it comes with the job. I love you guys all the same. I don't feel anything else but love for you guys. I appreciate you, but let's continue to speak for the growth and development of our nation. For me, what's important, no matter who they do this thing, way they do, let it stop. Real human beings are dying, not be film tricks, not an American movie. Real human beings die, and it don't reach level where you say it go fit be anybody at any time this time around, and it's got to stop. So please, that is why we're doing what we're doing, so that we keep sharing information and see how things can get better in our country. I love you guys and I appreciate you big time. I see you tomorrow evening, God willing. On don't make me work for now today with our salary. Good night and God bless all of you. Bye. Thank you.